And Beacon also has the only Doctor Who themed restaurant in the United States.
That is definitely a commitment to a theme.
I was there just December, and they had like those killer snowmen as centerpieces on all the
You
tables.
have to enter the restaurant through a phone booth, too.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Which we did.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, January the 25th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey, guys. Happy, it's National Irish Coffee Day.
National Irish Coffee Day. Happy National Irish Coffee Day. Wasn't it National Gourmet Coffee Day last week?
Yeah.
So there's just something coffee day every week we got to do.
No. I think this is the last one.
This will be the last one.
I don't know. I haven't put February's calendar together yet, so I'm really not quite sure. Speaking of February, is the splash screen going to change from snowflakes to hearts in February?
Oh hell no, it's snow until March, and then
snow until March.
March.
Then it's shamrocks.
And then it's shamrocks, and then it turns into baseballs.
Oh, I thought it'd just be rain.
Not
rain and more rain.
April showers, yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah,
April's a good month, though. April's a great month.
You know the best? Yes, a great month.
It's a great month.
Amazing people are born in April.
Absolutely, both of them. I mean, all of them.
This is the best part about.
You just keep eating whipped cream and drink the coffee later.
Yes, that's all.
Exactly.
Why other than that's not the best part.
Right,
this is the best part.
Oh, of course, yes, absolutely.
So,
actually, no, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just going to.
You were just going to pour some more Jameson in, or you hadn't? There you go. Pour some more Jameson in, right? Your mouth.
Yeah,
there you go.
Pour more Jameson in.
So is that the way you do it? Just make a regular cup of coffee and just keep taking hits of Jameson while you drink the coffee?
It's not how you do it?
That's your version of Irish coffee, right?
No, there's JMO in here. It's just I can't get to it right now because of the Ready Whip on there.
There you go. I got you. Sounds like it's fun over there.
I just had some.
You got whipped cream all over your fucking mouth.
No.
Please don't do that on this show. That's for your OnlyFans page. That's not for this.
Which OnlyFans page? I have 3.
Oh God, please don't even go there. Anyway, all right. On that note, what else is it? Yesterday was a day too.
Yesterday was a day. What was the day?
It was Monday. No, I mean,
it
was National Beer Can Appreciation Day.
Did you appreciate a beer can yesterday?
I appreciated a couple of beer cans yesterday. I did. I definitely did. Happy belated National Beer Can Appreciation.
I did not appreciate it. I'm going to have to double appreciate a beer can today because I didn't appreciate one yesterday because I typically don't drink on Mondays because I'm usually recovering from the weekend.
The weekend, right? Of course.
But I had a hell of a weekend.
I had a few beers yesterday. I actually had I was at alternate ending yesterday.
I love that place.
I always had an S to the end. It's alternate ending. There's no S on the end. It's just one.
It's
singular. Right. But tonight I'm not going to be I'm not going to be appreciating any beer cans tonight, just for the fact that both of the beers I'm drinking tonight are in bottles.
Well, last week I did drink an alternate ending out of a beer can.
Yes, you did.
Right. That was the Drink Your Peas, and that had that meme monkey on there.
Right. Exactly. So, anyway, but
I'm going to be awake like all night.
I'm actually, I'm surprised we've been on the show for almost 4 minutes and you haven't said a word about my shirt yet.
Oh, it'll come.
I'm sure
I was waiting to slide it in there.
Slide it in there, right?
Yeah.
I'm wearing my moniker, basically, right?
Yeah.
I am. Well, it's as you know, it's Weyerbacher, so I'm going to drink a couple of Weyerbacher's tonight. But hence the segue.
There's a segue.
There's a segue. There's a brewery in New Jersey that's not too far away from Weyerbacher.
Yeah, we tend to try to segue into our guests other than just saying, hey, we have a guest.
Right.
Yeah, we like to kind of smooth it in there. And the best we could get is John was drinking a beer from a brewery near the brewery where our guest is from.
Right. And I was actually at both places a week and a half ago anyway. But
yes, you were, though.
In any event, we will, at this point, bring on our guest. Let's welcome to the show Mr. Joe David. There he is right there.
Thank you for having me.
Sir.
Hey, Joe.
Put up his moniker right there. Owner and brewer at Descendants Brewing Company in Milford, New Jersey. There you go.
There we go.
I didn't put at the old ship in. Sorry about that, but
that's the long name at the old ship in.
At the old ship in. There you go. So, how are you tonight, Joe?
Doing just fine. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Oh yeah.
There you go. So, looks like you're drinking already.
You told him to.
I know. Exactly. So what do you? So I'm gonna put the crawl up there. What are you drinking? Talk about what you're drinking. So might as well get that. Going.
Doing the Albacabra, our Scottish wee heavy, comes in at 9.3%. This is part of our Hidden Nation brewing line. We do probably 7 or 8 of these throughout the year, where we just kind of explore some fun styles that we don't get to do too often.
Sure.
So this one kicks it off for the year, and it's beer can. You said a beer can day today?
Yesterday was beer can appreciation day.
Today's Irish Coffee Day. Today's
right.
also Robert Burns' birthday, which is a big reason why we brew this for January.
There you go.
So we definitely celebrate our Scottish history here at the brewery.
Very nice.
You said you celebrated with some haggis, did you not?
Yes, we did get a little bit of haggis from over at Bobolink Dairy, just outside of town.
Very nice.
Love those guys.
Some legal American haggis. No brain, no lungs.
Legal. I didn't even know there was a thing. Legal American haggis. There you go.
You can't make it.
Allegedly, I don't know.
I guess.
There you go. Is it as good as the ones with brains and lungs in it, though?
I couldn't tell you. All I know is that it's actually really good.
There you go. All right. So what are you drinking? Ready Whip. That's what you're drinking.
I told you what I'm drinking.
I know.
Irish coffee right now.
Dave's drinking Irish coffee. Happy National Irish Coffee Day.
I will move over to a beer, but I've got.
I know.
I'm drinking Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Irish. It is Irish Coffee Day, so it's got an Irish whiskey.
That's appropriate because we like our whiskey here too.
Well, there you go.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, well, you're drinking Joe. You're drinking something from Scotland, technically.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dave's drinking something from Ireland.
Actually, from the kitchen here, right over there.
Of course. I knew that was going to go there. I might as well drink something from England, so to speak. It's actually from Eastern Pennsylvania, but
that's close enough.
There you go. I'm wearing the shirt, so I'm going to drink a little Blithering Idiot.
Ah.
There you go. And it is indeed an English barley wine. So there we go. So we got the UK covered in it, except for Wales.
And the rumors are not true.
Wait, hold on.
That it was named after you.
If you want Wales, come with me real quick. We have our Welsh Red Ale in the fermenter right now.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
So we're definitely covering the UK. Look at that.
Shoot a quick look at that's our Welsh Red Ale. That's our Exit the Dragon.
That's a beautiful thing.
Exit the Dragon. I love it.
And it's called that because they're of the dragon on the Welsh flag.
Yes. So I'd be lying if I said that our Hidden Nation line didn't play into separatism a little bit.
Where does the name Hidden Nation come from for that line?
I've always been really interested in travel and history and culture. I got a little bit of Scottish in my background, and that's one of the things that influenced the name Descendants.
As do I.
And I think the Scots declared independence about 701 years ago. And
give or take.
Happy
give or take. If we can do a beer called Scotland Forever and maybe influence an independent Scotland a little bit.
There you go. Part. There you go.
Well, we need Robert the Bruce reincarnated.
There you go. So, cheers.
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 Sláinte.
Sláinte. Oh, that's good.
Oh, I'm getting to the bottom.
I'm drinking. This is going to be a fun night. I'm drinking an 11.1% and an 8%. So
he will become a blithering idiot.
I'll become a blithering idiot by the end of the podcast. So.
And the rumors are not true. The beer was not named after John.
It was not named after me. It was just a lovely coincidence. That's all it was.
It's actually named after Mr. Weyerback himself.
There you go. This is true. He drank a lot of English barley wine and turned into a blithering idiot.
At Victory Brewing, from what I understand.
At Victory, yeah, he did it.
The ride back to the brewery just turned into an absolute blithering idiot.
Foreshadowing one of my top threes. You said Victory. It's foreshadowing one of my top threes, but we'll get there.
Excellent.
We'll get there. So, anyway,
that's when you single-handedly beat Japan in World War II?
That's exactly it. VJ Day. It was me.
Stands for Victory by John, not
Victory by John, not victory over Japan. Victory by John, right? Exactly. Anyway, all right. So let's kick it off with the question we ask everybody, Joe. What was the first craft beer you can ever remember having?
Oh, geez. First craft beer I ever. It was probably Sam Adams Cherry Wheat.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, I think I was in college and I had a Sam Cherry Wheat. I think that was probably the gateway off of Rolling Rock.
Fair enough.
I was going to say the gateway off of Yingling.
There you go.
No, well, yeah, you probably had a few Yinglings in there too.
No.
and some Zima.
And Yinglings.
Oof.
Thank you for that.
I have a good friend that shoots the text real quick to me, drunk on Zima.
Zima, yeah. Gotta love it. Anyway, they brought that back at one point, didn't they? Like a couple years ago.
Did they try?
I believe they did. I don't think it lasted, but they definitely brought it back. I mean, when it was first out, not that I want to turn this into a clear malt liquor malt beverage podcast, but when it was first out, it was the only thing it was. But there was no Smirnoff Ice out. There was none of the other stuff out.
Yeah,
that was it. Zima, and that was it. So it was big.
They were the OG, right?
They were, yeah. It was clear too. It wasn't like hazy like the other shit is. It was like crystal clear. So odd. Anyway, all right.
So cool. I opened a beer after all.
Did you open a beer? What'd you open?
I may have overpoured it. Sorry. It's good now.
Would that be this one?
Radiant Pig, Save the Robots.
There you go. Save the Robots. Very nice. Radiant Pig out of New York.
Yes, it is.
Cool. Awesome. Very nice. All right.
Put that
up.
No whipped cream does not go on that.
No, you don't put whipped cream on Radiant Pig. Don't do that. East Coast IPAs do not need any ready whip.
No.
Anyway, all right. So what first, other than that cherry wheat that you had, or any of the Yinglings for that matter, what first got you into craft beer?
It's interesting, and I don't want to take away from my top three later on.
Top three, yeah, don't
want to do that. I got to be honest. My craft experience was much later in life. The cherry wheat didn't really do it for me.
Gotcha.
And the cranberry lambic I had around the same time definitely pushed me away for a little while.
Really?
Yeah, the cranberry lambic from Boston Brewing definitely didn't steer me in the direction of craft beer.
It was not one of their best offerings.
It was, no offense to Jim Cook and everybody from Sam Adams, but there are better cranberry lambics out there. Lambics in general. So
I'd say in my early 20s I wasn't really ready for a lambic anyway. So
yeah, fair enough.
I'll chalk it up to nothing to do with the beer itself and everything to do with me drinking too many Rolling Rocks early on.
Very few people in this country were ready for a lambic when that beer first came out. So
true.
Yeah, this is true. And there's still on average still not an overwhelming amount of people that are migrating toward that style. So
yeah,
but so it was later. But we'll foreshadow a top three as well for you, and more on that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. I got you. No worries. So what was your first job in the industry?
Oh, I've been in the restaurant industry for a long time. Mm-hmm. So you pick up a little bit here and there just working in restaurants. Mm-hmm. My first official job in the industry, though, when I moved to California, probably around 2008. Okay. I think I was there for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And when I got back, I, at that point, was fully in love with craft beer. And that
was a good state to go to get fully in love with craft beer. Yeah. So
what's that?
So California was definitely a good state choice to go to get fully in love with craft beer.
Yeah, so. Jersey hadn't done that for me at that point. Before 2000. Before I left, but
it was slow going at that point.
Went out to California enjoying wine a little bit more, and came back just obsessed with craft. And my first job, outside of just constantly home brewing, I think at the time, in 2012, there maybe were a couple dozen breweries in Jersey, maybe 3 dozen tops. And at that time, I think I wrote a letter to emailed every single brewery within 50 miles, seeing if I could get a job, even pouring in a tasting room or just anything. And one got back to me. Mm-hmm. Saying that they could offer me something, and that was Cricket Hill up in Fairfield, and they offered me an internship. Yes. They said you could do whatever you want for no money, and I thought that was great.
You could do whatever you want, but we're not going to pay you. So there you go.
We're not going to pay. We're not going to pay anything, and I was grateful for the opportunity.
But that's a lot. That is for somebody just breaking into the industry. That is a foray. That's not just unique to Cricket Hill. I mean, a lot of places will do that. No. They'll bring in interns. They'll teach them the business, and that's what they get out of it. Their pay, if you will, is knowledge.
Yeah,
and,
no,
and
it
experience.
was a great experience.
Sure.
And I, to this day, the people that, took me under their wing there, some have gone on to, continue in the craft industry,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an invaluable education for me
Sure.
for the time I was there,
Yeah.
and I would do 1 or 2 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week if I could, work it into my regular work schedule. And
Sure.
I'll never forget the first day. I think I folded boxes for 4 hours for 6 packs, and we worked on a bottling day, and it was, I'd visited breweries, of course, at that point, and big production facilities, but actually getting to be part of it, that was pretty cool that day, and it didn't scare me off. I know they allowed a lot of people to intern there, and I think the average stay was 3 or 4 weeks probably.
Right.
I think a lot of guys went in and they wondered why they weren't brewing on day one.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's always the thing. They'll come in there. Well, when do I get up on the brew house and brew it?
Yeah. I think one of my
Let me think about
stories,
this one for a second. Yeah.
One day they gave me a bleach backpack and said, climb a 30-foot ladder and get that patch of mold that's growing near the ceiling. And I said, cool, I'm allowed to do that. All right, let's do that.
Let's do it.
So that was a fun lesson. We tell people that come in here, I said, look, if people ask, if they can watch me brew and everything. And I said, look, if you want to be here at 6 a.m. to watch me mash in, that's awesome. Otherwise, you're not going to have much to see.
Yeah.
The old joke about being a janitor is pretty spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Definitely. So, but Rick's a great guy. He's been on the show.
Yep.
And, nice. I tell you what, I was so grateful for Rick and Ed to give me the opportunity there, and to get to work with Mark, Tilly, their head brewer.
Sure.
He was great. My ladder says Tilly.
Yes, it
which
does.
I think is a fun little bit of a
little
kitsch right there. Yep. I don't know.
No, it is. It is.
And Mark Ryan was there at the time. I think he's still the head brewer over at Jersey Go right now.
Mark Ryan's still at Jersey Go. Yep.
Yeah, and Adam, he was with Brooklyn. He went directly to Brooklyn after he left, right after I started.
Right. Yeah, he went over to Brooklyn. Yeah.
And then
he's down in North Carolina now.
Yeah. He went up to Industrial Arts. He was doing some great stuff there, and now he just moved down to North Carolina. And Vinny Tambori was instrumental in just kind of taking me under his wing and not minding the 8,000 questions I asked him every day.
That's it, just 8?
Yeah,
Might have been 9,000.
Might have been 9,000, but he dealt with it. He's dealt with me calling him, a mentor, for years, and he's played a tremendous part, here, whether that was, taking a trip up to Portland, Maine to meet Alan Pugsley when we, were first getting going, or laying shiplap on the walls, when we were, doing construction, kind of a jack of all trades. So.
Well, it's a good thing that, he might have known a thing or two about construction. So.
Didn't hurt. We're blessed and grateful to call him a friend. So
there you go.
Going to cricket was, a tremendous experience, when you look back, at that point when there was only, a few dozen breweries, to have somebody take you in and, keep you around for a little bit was a lot of fun.
Sure. Absolutely. Definitely.
Didn't scare me away from this life. So
no,
that's a good thing.
That's that's the writing on the wall, right? If it didn't scare you away, then you're in, in your own mind, I'm saying, not even just other people.
Yeah. I always tell people, so we'll probably talk about this more later, but we have a 7-barrel Peter Austin system. And when we met Alan Pugsley 3 years ago, he told us that he was kind of Johnny Appleseed for Peter Austin, and at one point he had over 200 of these systems throughout the U.S., and now there's about 24. And when at the end of the day, we don't. It's a bit of a labor-intensive system. When we're done at the end of the day, I get in this kettle behind me, and it's probably about 135 degrees in there, and that's how I clean it. And the old brewer taught me, when she got here, she said, I knew I loved this when I didn't mind getting in the kettle at the end of the day. And when you're in that kettle at the end of the day, it just kind of, it reinforces, how much you love doing what you're doing.
Sure. Definitely. That's for sure.
Because I know that, I know getting in there, people laugh when they see me lowering myself into the kettle. They're like, why do you do that? Or, how can you stand the heat? we're a brew pub, so we get servers, spouses, guests who will sneak their head in the summer, and they'll say, "Oh my God, it's hot in here." And I joke because it's a very small space, and I joke, "I know," and you get to walk right out that door in about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But
me on the other hand, not so much. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's a great system.
Yeah. So and that's just it too. If you don't mind doing all of the tedious, backbreaking, annoying things that would piss most other people off to do your job, then it's not a job.
No, it's fun, and working on a system like this, without all the bells and whistles, you learn to appreciate the kind of the old world process a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
And I know at the end of the day, when I'm done with my, my full cleanup, I'll climb the tilly right behind me, the ladder, and just look back down in the kettle and
climb the tilly.
And I'll look back down in the kettle, and it's shining, and you just kind of look down, and you're getting a little bit of foam on that new batch, and it's a rewarding process working on this system.
That's for sure. I gotta get my ass back down there and have that wee heavy. That's for sure.
Oh, this is my favorite beer to brew every year. It's our biggest grain load. It's far and away the highest gravity beer ever brewed here. So it's
Gotcha.
This was one of the first ones that we did where we left the ring. I don't want to say left the ringwood behind, because we still use the ringwood for a few of our batches, but this was one of the first batches where we said, let's try something else, and we learned that the system didn't limit us as much as the stories kind of told us.
Right.
So we thought with ringwood we were topping at about 7, maybe 7.5 if we really pushed it, and we brought in a new yeast strain. We obviously cut down the size of our the gallons on the batch and everything, but we we got it up to 9.3 and shocked everyone walking through the doors that I was expecting just nothing but session.
How much less than 7 barrels? How much less than 7 barrels did you yield?
We were able to get 5 barrels, and that really went right up to our sparging arm and scared the crap out of us when we were brewing, because it was one of those things where.
How long was the sparge?
Yeah, we built the recipe, and I said, well, with a grain load this big, I know we're probably not getting anything bigger than 5, so let's just go in with 5, and we built it. Mm-hmm. I was looking for low to mid 9%, right. And we got dangerously close to the sparging arm, but it didn't quite get there. So that was a sigh of relief at the end of the day that we were able to execute.
That's awesome. And
it's become one of our most. It's become one of the beers that people look forward to, coming around every year.
I definitely.
So we release it every year in January.
I definitely got to take a ride. So I'll be I'll be down there quicker. It'll be a quicker turnaround. I was just you haven't seen me in a week and a half. I mean, it's
a week and a half since last time.
It's been a little bit longer for the time before that. That's for sure.
But it's been probably 10 years for me since I've been in that building.
Gotcha. Well, so what? All right. So after Cricket Hill, then you.
So after Cricket Hill, I did a sales job with you and Vinny called Brewhouse Bullpen.
Yes, you did. That's right.
And we got the chance to work with Chip and Jackie over at Rinduin. Mm-hmm. We worked with Defiant. We worked with Newberg. Mm-hmm. They were doing some really. Chris Basso was doing some really amazing stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of got to experience, being out on the road and selling and just kind of seeing really ultimately in New Jersey what kind of share of the market craft beer had. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest, that job actually pushed me towards really wanting to do the brew pub concept over doing production.
Gotcha.
I always like to pick out Newberg. I thought what Chris was doing at that time was, I thought he was an amazing combination of creative and talented, mm-hmm. And I felt that there were a lot of people who, kind of leaned one way or the other, but I thought he really was both. And occasionally you'd go into a lot of shops and with an incredible product, and it was tough getting stuff, tough getting shelf space, tough getting tap lines. And I was in the restaurant industry for, probably 15 years at that point. So it was kind of a natural thing for me to lean towards doing the brew pub concept.
You split time
for what's that?
No, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, it was kind of a natural progression for me. Not
meld the two things together. Meld the brewery together with the
I've had brewers ask me over the past 5 years. They're like, "Oh, should I consider brew pub or production?" And my first question is, what kind of restaurant experience do you have?
Right.
And if there's not much or you don't love the restaurant industry, I usually don't recommend it. Mm-hmm. It adds a layer that isn't always what you want to focus on.
This is true. What's funny too is those three breweries you mentioned, though, other than Rinduin in New Jersey, Defiant and Newburgh are both in New York, and they're not necessarily they're production breweries, but they are allowed to have restaurants up in New York.
Yeah.
So they both had restaurants. Defiant
I think if I recall the story correctly, is the guys from Defiant were Jersey guys who didn't want to deal with legislation in Jersey, so they just poked right across the border and said, "All right, we'll do this."
Went 2 blocks over the border and opened up a barbecue restaurant with their brewery. Yeah.
And I have 2 blocks and a train tracks.
2 blocks and the train tracks, right?
I have a good buddy of mine, Galen, who's brewed with me here, and he's opening up a brewery in Percy, PA, because a Jersey guy just didn't, he'd rather try PA than deal with Jersey.
Right, you were telling me a couple weeks ago. Yeah, when I was there.
Yeah.
But and oddly enough, Newburgh too. Whatchamacallit, Paul is a Jersey guy too, and he's all the way from Newburgh.
I didn't even know that.
He lives in Millen Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but at least he did the last time I talked to him, and that was before the pandemic. So if he's moved since, I couldn't tell you. But
yeah. I tell you what, Jersey has some silly things.
Things are starting to change a little bit.
What's that?
Things are starting to change a little bit. I mean, it's incremental and slow going, but it seems to be moving. I won't say moving in the right direction; it's moving in a direction anyway. So.
Yeah, they're not to the point where they're changing the licensing yet.
No. But you can keep your fingers crossed. But you know what? I mean, even if they're going to work on something that's going to change the licensing and all of that stuff, it's going to take so long that we're going to be retired by the time it's done. So
yeah, but retired from beer.
Not tired, retired.
No, but not retired from beer.
Oh no, retired from work, but not retired. So anyway.
I was over at Sunken Silo a couple weeks ago for a meeting for the Hunterdon County Beer Trail.
Right.
And Bob from Lone Eagle, he brought up legislation and the challenges for production breweries. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Well, you don't have to worry about that, Joe." And I said, "Well, I don't have to worry about tours and and event permitting and stuff like that." And that's nothing but silliness, I think. But there are challenges that that we have that production breweries don't have. I mean, we have our square footage, to operate the brewery is incredibly challenging, and distribution, if we want to get out, start getting cans and kegs out there is challenging for brew pubs. One thing I kind of always like to point out if I'm talking to somebody who's in production is, go with more of a united front. I know for us, when I got into this, I wanted to do the brew pub, but I really wanted to put the emphasis on the beer first, and we also have a great restaurant attached to it. And I think there's a little bit of a stigma against brew pubs in New Jersey because it's kind of the other way around.
A stigma from who are you referring to?
Sometimes the industry a little bit, but sometimes just fans of craft beer. I think some people kind of look at the brew pub concept as, oh, that's a restaurant. That's cute. They also brew a little beer on the side too.
Well, it is. I think the conception is changing a little bit.
Yeah, it is
to some extent. And I mean, with the advent of the some of the new regulations or whatever that you can distribute some of your beer. I mean, years ago, every drop of the beer you brewed had to be consumed on premise.
Yeah, no, and things are definitely going in the right direction. The one thing I like to point out. We have a restricted brewing license. Production breweries have a limited brewing license. Mm-hmm. And I believe Budweiser can produce more in a single day than we're allowed to produce in an entire year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sure.
And I'm never going to come close to
in one of the batches they brew in one day. They can they probably make more than
and I'm never going to come close to the limitations that we have.
Right.
At least not anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So it's more like a principle kind of thing where it's, if they can brew X amount of gallons or barrels in a day, but that our number is less than that, you just kind of shake your head and wonder.
Right,
but
a little bit. There's a lot of questions in the industry, and some of them have been answered lately. I'd say in the last 10 years, obviously, in New Jersey anyway, there have been a lot of things. Obviously, we anybody that's watched the show, I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum, but the changes in the last 10 years. This coming September will be 10 years.
Yeah,
there was before 2011 and back, there was 9 breweries in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And now there's over 130. So
it's amazing.
Right.
Well, the pandemic also helped relax some of the restrictions.
A little bit.
And
some of them are going to stay. So
some will stay. And then what the good thing is, it showed that the state government, the ABC, are starting to recognize the importance of the craft beer industry to the state.
Right.
Even with the creation of these county beer trails.
Yeah, like you were saying, you went to Sunken Silo for a beer trail meeting, right? This is new. This is new legislation.
And it's weird because I don't know what the benefits are going to be of this.
Oh, there'll be benefits.
But the fact that they've actually recognized that this is a need or
that's the benefit before anything else. Even if there are other benefits, that's the biggest benefit.
That's the biggest benefit, that there's that recognition that hey, this industry is important to the state.
Yeah, definitely. Our tourism and economic development team in Hunterdon County is doing amazing things, and they've been incredibly supportive. And Bob from Lone Eagle coming up with the idea and putting all the time and effort and energy into it, and
Sure.
bringing us all together, and creating that tight network has been huge. And we've definitely seen an uptick. People coming in with beer passports, stamped by all the different breweries locally, and
that's awesome.
It's been great. It's been a fun thing to be a part of. 21 was a little hectic, so we didn't get to.
Right.
How does one get a passport?
Show up to any one of the breweries in Hunterdon County, pick one up, and just go
it's
around.
Specifically a Hunterdon County passport.
Specifically Hunterdon County. Yeah.
Now, how many counties have the beer trail now? We know there's one in Bergen.
The beer trails are being put together. I mean, every county and even extending through a couple of several areas, like maybe cross-county borders or whatever. They're being put together. The ones I know of right now that are actually firmed up are Bergen County and Hunterdon.
Salem doesn't have any breweries, though, does it?
Salem has a. Do they?
No, you're thinking Gloucester. Gloucester's got a.
Yeah, you're right. Gloucester's got them. Yeah, Salem doesn't have any counties.
Gloucester's got a few good ones.
Salem doesn't have any counties. They have towns, but they don't have any counties. No, Salem doesn't have any breweries.
Gloucester's got a.
Cumberland has a few. Cumberland has Miltville, has Glasstown, and I think Core 3's in Cumberland too, right? Before it gets up to Gloucester, or maybe they're Gloucester.
That's close to the border. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but yeah, no, they're all coming, and Bergen right now they have 4, but there's another brewery opening up in Waldwick, so they'll have 5 soon.
But I don't know why
County.
Monmouth hasn't shored up their brewery trail yet.
It's working right now. There's 17 breweries in Monmouth.
Yes,
so it's by far the biggest, the most concentration of breweries.
Yeah.
In one county, and there's more coming. So I hear, but I don't know anything about that yet.
I've heard some rumors. We'll have to talk to Mike Kivovitz to see if he's.
We'll have to talk to Mike. We'll have to get Mike on.
Mike knows everything.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
Mike knows everything. Mike does everything. Mike's got his finger on the pulse of the brewing industry.
And he knows
New Jersey,
and he knows Taekwondo now. Apparently,
he does. He's a black belt. This is for sure. So and it's So anyway, but we'll get him on again and we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll have him on the show again.
We'll have to. He was on last May. In fact, we were supposed to go on his show and he hasn't gotten us on yet.
Oh, slacker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does like 3 shows a year, so I mean, we'll give him a pass for that. So
he's too busy.
He's too busy with everything else. Yeah.
Punch dummies in the Taekwondo
right,
studio.
He's too busy doing Taekwondo. Right, exactly. So anyway, all right. So
and being a dad.
This is true. Well,
yeah.
this is true. This is true. All right. So after Cricket Hill and Brewhouse Bullpen.
Yeah, Brewhouse Bullpen, and then I was always working in restaurants. I did serving and kind of front of house. Mm-hmm. I found an opportunity where I could kind of be a buyer, kind of beer director at a super high volume restaurant in Bergen County, Pier 115. And
sure.
My buddy Greg Kane, who was the general manager over there, we built one hell of a beer program.
I think I may know him.
You might know him. We built a heck of a program up there. And we had 115 beers, I think 24 taps and 91 bottles. And we really built a nice kind of beer culture in an area that didn't really have much.
The bottle list, it was great. I'm giving you kudos. The bottle list was great, and the tap list was great too. And the way you marked it out, obviously, you had some a few rotatings and everything else, but it was really well thought out.
It was a lot of fun, and working on that, and really getting to know the reps and the ambassadors that came in, and I think at that point for me it was getting the opportunity to really be an ambassador, on that end for craft and imports. Engage people who were not usually into craft. Right. I think that's where I kind of developed a system I call the hook and pivot. You get people coming in and they'd say, or pivot and hook rather, and they'd come in, can I get a Blue Moon? I cannot bring you a Blue Moon, but I'm going to bring you an Avery White Rascal, or I'm going to bring you an Einstock White, and no, I'll just have a Stella. And then you look at him and you say, no, you want a Belgian Wit. I'm going to bring you a Belgian Wit. If you don't like it, I'll buy it for you. So kind of being an evangelist kind of in a way. And, I guess playing around with that. And that was fun because we were able to build a really fun program where, we had an incredible import section on the menu, plus, as you mentioned on tap, having 20 steady lines and then, constantly rotating 4, to keep things interesting for people. And, we were able to, I give Greg a lot of credit. He let me work with him and play around, with him on that. But it was fun working on that for a few years, and being on that side of it. And that's actually where I ended up meeting, one of our partners that helped us get this going. Who I guess just through my passion for beer and enthusiasm for craft and imports was willing to, we became friends and was willing to back us on something like this.
Nice.
So it was great just being in that environment. So those were the, I guess, the 3 gigs that were most instrumental in kind of getting us to this point.
Awesome.
You just said back us, so you've got another partner in there at least.
Yeah. So my wife and I are the I guess primary owners, and then we have 2 couples that my wife Anastasia. She's the power behind the throne. She keeps me alive. And
yeah, I mean, listen. The word wife kind of denotes the power behind the throne.
I'm being redundant.
Just remember, behind every great man, there is a woman rolling her eyes.
Right, rolling her eyes, right.
and getting you through PPP loans and
exactly,
and forgiveness and
a lot of forgiveness,
right? All that financial stuff. No, but she believed in me and and said, what, I'll support you. If this is what you want to do, let's figure it out. So a good friend of mine who we met over at Pier 115 is Aaron Forsty and his wife Jamie Forsty. And he said, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. I can't do all of it, but I have a good friend who's trying to build a restaurant, hotel and brewery up in Northeast PA. Let's see if he's interested too. And I blind trust said, sure, let's do it. Right. And that's Brett Dew and his wife Dina Dew. And we joked because we met them at the closing, which I think would terrify almost anyone. But they're family, and they Brett's a master tile mason and Dina's a design guru, and she's amazing. So what they've brought and what Aaron and Jamie have brought, even though we don't have to see them as much as we like, we all have crazy busy lives, but
who doesn't, right?
It was terrifying, I guess, probably more for them meeting me at the closing.
You're right.
But no, we hit it off, and I guess the rest is history, so to speak.
That's great. That's awesome. So, all right, let's talk about some of the backstory of the Old Ship Inn, because I mean, the Old Ship Inn has been around a long time,
for a few years,
just a couple of years.
Oldest brew pub in
the state.
So yeah, the Ship Inn was founded in 1985 by Ann and David Hall. This was Ann's baby. They were both British, and they wanted to do something. They wanted to do a traditional British pub, in this building. And we're talking. The building was built in 1879. And in '85, a little over 100 years old, they took an old building and they exposed all the brick, and they shined up the beautiful original tin ceiling and exposed the hand hewn posts and everything, and they created a really beautiful environment. And then I think it was '94, word started getting around that the state was going to allow brewing on premise, and I think the story goes, they said, why import all this stuff when we could just make it ourselves? And their son, Tim, who's a dear friend of mine, who after 4 years will still rush over here from Flemington if I need help with a random issue that pops up that I'd never dealt with. He said, Mom and Dad, I'll give you 5 years of my life. And he went over to the UK and he trained and learned how to brew on the Peter Austin system, and came back and was the first brewer. Now, I get in a lot of trouble for this, depending on who I'm talking to, but January 3rd, 1995 was the official first day as the first brewery. I get in trouble because people often say that we're the first brew pub, but technically we're the first to legally pour on-premise brewed beer in New Jersey. So I like to say that we're the first craft brewery in New Jersey.
There's somebody that kind of tries to put that down, but
I'm not gonna.
We won't say anybody's name.
I'm not gonna throw anything out there, but if you look at their website, it says 96, and
he won't do an IPA.
Well, he did. He actually did, but
yeah,
but we won't say who it is.
But we won't say who it is.
No, great guy.
Say who it is.
Great guy. He probably doesn't remember me. I've met him a few times, but great guy.
He remembers me.
You don't remember me either.
No.
He knows who I am.
I think about this. One of my, I guess, idols is Sam Calgione, just because I thought he was incredibly creative and innovative long before a lot of breweries were. And he started as a brew pub. And I think if you were to tell him at that time that his brewery wasn't a brewery because they served food, I think Sam Calgione would take exception to that.
Probably a little bit. Yeah, I think so.
So, when we were supposed to open up a brewery in Raritan Borough, and we sat on the building for 3.5 years. It's a building owned by Duke Farms, an incredible space. And they said, look, it's going to take a while before the building is available. And I said, you know what I said, I'm way too inexperienced. I'll take that time to work at Cricket Hill, do the sales job, just get anything I can get my hands on. And when I'm ready, when you guys are ready, we'll get together. And we were about 3.5 years into it, and that didn't work out. And they said probably another 4 years, and that's when the ship popped up.
There you go.
And I looked at my wife and I said the history is too much to pass up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And is that building still is that building available yet?
No,
still not.
I did see them 3.5, 4 years later, and they said, "Oh yeah, another 3.5, 4 years." So we.
So by the time the building's ready, maybe you'll be ready to open a second space. So
we joke about that. But
trying to think.
It's like 10 years from now, they'll call you up and say, "Hey, it's finally ready. It's finally available." All right.
But no, you know what, the history here, I'd been coming to the ship, I never lived that close, so I'd come out maybe once or twice a year. And I learned what cask conditioned beer was, or as the Brits will call real ale, and
absolutely,
and I fell in love with it, and I'll never forget when I don't want to say I gave up on it, but when I shifted gears from the location in Raritan, I said, let's look and see what we can find. And I saw an advertisement for a quaint and casual brew pub, and with 2 apartments upstairs in Hunterdon County.
Yeah. Quaint and casual, nice.
Huh.
Yeah. And I
wonder what they're talking about.
And I said the ship in's for sale. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" Because they have to be a real hush hush. And I said, "Man, you described one brewery in the entire state, let alone Hunterdon County." And he goes, "All right, when do you want to go see it?" And I said, "As soon as possible." So I think a few weeks later, with a 2-week-old baby.
Oh boy.
We and my son, it was 1.5 years. We got in the car, and I brought my wife to Hunterdon County, and she had never been here before, and she's probably looking at me like, where in God's name are we? And I said, just trust me.
She had never been to the ship in before, or never been to Hunterdon County before?
She had never been to the ship in before. I had not yet had the chance to take her here.
Yeah.
But now she trusted me, and we kicked the tires and we figured it out. And I actually met another brewer a few months back when I was over at Flounder. I can't think of his name. Somewhere in Middlesex County, but he told me he was looking at the building too and didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Really?
So,
was that Jeremy?
No, not Jeremy.
One of his
somebody that came to visit.
Just somebody just happened to be a brewer that happened to be at Flounder while he was there, is what he said.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I met him in passing real quick, and I think Doug pointed the brewer over at Flounder is a good buddy of mine. He said, "Oh, Joe, he looked at the building too, and he said, yeah, I wasn't touching that." But no, it's the history here is incredible. A little known fact, it was actually called the Milford Brewing Company. And I don't know how long that actually lasted. I think that kind of faded away. And
so it was the old ship. It was the old ship in from '85.
Yeah, it was the ship in from '85.
But it was Milford Brewing at the old ship in, wasn't
it? Yeah. So learning that it was the Milford Brewing Company at the old ship in, or at the ship in.
At the ship in, yeah.
Was a fun little bit of history, because when our first location fell through and we decided, we were all in on the ship, there were some sleepless nights wondering, how do we honor the history of Jersey's first craft brewery, but also the concept that I've been working on for 4 or 5 years. And the name is long. If you go, and do Descendants Brewing Company at the old ship in, and some people just call us the ship and some people call us Descendants, but for everyone who yelled at us for calling it something else, I said, "Now, don't worry. 25 years ago, they called it something else too." And, but for every person who gets mad at me, there's 20 people who are excited that we're breathing new life into it. And for the first time in our history, have the word brewery on the outside of the building.
That's awesome.
Well, it's interesting because I can see through the window into the restaurant area, correct? That's the restaurant area behind you?
Yeah, so that's...
And there's bags of grain outside in that area too.
But the one thing that strikes me...
Which is awesome. I think it's awesome. I think that's a great thing. So.
But the one thing that strikes me from the times that I was there is you've brightened the place up a little bit. It was really quite dark.
It was, I guess, in a way, classically kind of
British.
It was very dark. We brightened it up in a Victorian space. We wanted it to stay and retain that kind of Victorian charm, but we wanted more of an industrial Victorian. So, we spent the first 2 years really, we wanted to keep the name Ship In for the first 2 years, just to kind of get to know the community and kind of bring them along for the ride with us. We joke, we didn't want to pull the rug out from anyone, but we needed to get the carpet out of the dining room, because carpet in a brewery is
not a good thing.
No, not a good,
not so much.
Who knows how much fish and chips was jammed into that carpet. But no, we very much by design wanted to take our time. We didn't want to pull a Band-Aid off and compromise the history that, came before us. We like being able to say that, this is the oldest brewery, in the state of New Jersey. And we really tried to retain as much of that as we could. Yeah. When we looked at it, we said, what's sacred? Is it the brick wall, the tin ceiling, the hand-hewn posts, but what else is sacred? Doing a cask condition best bidder, that's sacred to us. Continuing to do fish and chips, that's pretty sacred to us. Getting threatened to get thrown off the bridge into the Delaware River if you take it off,
that's pretty sacred.
Also, a reason to not take it off the menu,
that bridge is sacred.
There you go.
So it was some sleepless nights trying to figure out the balance, between continuing to tell a lot of the stories from the ship, but introducing some new stories. But I think, we intended doing our relaunch on year 3, and we were 2 weeks away from launch on April 1st, and we got shut down for COVID. And you're talking merchandise, signage, pretty much everything except for the bar area redone, and getting shut down and being, this close. And you dig your heels in every day and you figure out a way to get through it, look for the silver lining. And, finally on May 1st last year, we got to finally finally do it.
So many stories out there like that. I mean, I wanted to point out, John, in the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we've had the owners of the oldest brewery in 2 different states now.
This is true.
Because we had the owner of Providence Brewing in Rhode Island on, and they actually shut down and moved their brewery during COVID.
Wow. So he had done the same thing you did too. He bought, reopened, whatever, the oldest brewery in Rhode Island.
Nice.
And then in the space he was in, and then during COVID, his landlord, if you will, decided they were going to use the space for something else, and so he moved, and he's better off for it. So
yeah, no, I think he understands now that was a blessing.
It was a blessing. Where he is now, there's other breweries, there's a lot other around. It's going to be more traffic, and for him, it's
he's
much
got a
better.
distillery across the street.
Sure.
Nice.
And he's got the indoor farmers market. He's in the same building as the indoor farmers market.
Nice. Yeah. I tell you what, when we got shut down, obviously you panic and you don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Looking back, we're happy that it happened before we launched, rather than getting all that momentum and building it up and then getting shut down.
Absolutely. There's your silver lining right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was our silver lining.
Yeah,
and
if you were 6 months in and they shut you down, you would have went back to ground zero at that point.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it was maybe a week or two after the shutdown started. Anna and I, we looked at our one partner, Brett, who's super savvy when it comes to construction and everything, and we had the big old cap that hung down over the bar with all the Mug Club mugs hanging off of it.
Right.
We knew we wanted to redo our bar and redo all our tap systems and everything. And I said, if we're ever going to do this, we're going to do it now. Right. And I think a couple of days later, we started tearing down the cap. And when people were finally allowed back in the building, we had exposed insulation and unpainted sheetrock, and it was a mess. But instead of people, I think pre-COVID, if people saw that, they wouldn't be too thrilled. But during COVID, I think people were just thrilled to get out of the house and pop in to grab takeout or growler. But they'd look at us and go, "Oh my God, that's awesome! You guys are doing stuff and you're being productive." And they were excited to come back a week later to see what kind of progress we made. So we kind of just continued that opportunity for us to just bring the community with us, and God, we wouldn't be here without that support.
Speaking of community, what did you do with the Mug Club?
So the Mug Club, the mugs we all put, we fit as many as we could over the creekside windows. There's a strip of wood above that. So I'd say we got about a third of the mugs up there. Mm-hmm. The rest of the mugs are very carefully cataloged in boxes in case someone comes back to claim them. I'm very happy we decided to carefully catalog them because we have had people come in.
Where's my mug?
We actually discontinued the old Mug Club. Definitely what happened with COVID is, especially COVID, made it impossible to get a lot of the imports that used to be featured in the old Mug Club. So we actually reinvented the Mug Club and made it 3 different Mug Clubs. So we do a European Traveler, where we try to do a beer from every country in Europe, or as many as we can get, plus our beer and some bonus beers. Then we do the American Traveler, where we do a beer from every state in the U.S. plus our beers. And then the third club we invented is called the New Jersey Student Exchange Program. And before we knew our ABC laws well enough, we thought, you know what, we'll trade kegs with other Jersey breweries and have fun with that. And then ABC said, no, you can take on any keg you want, but no production brewery can put your keg on. Or not legally anyway. So right. I said, you know what, we still want to do it. We still want to use this as an opportunity to get to know other breweries and, create good relationships throughout the state with the people, doing the same thing as us. So before COVID started, we actually had Gretchen from Little Dog come out, and we had Doug and Jeremy from Flounder come out, and we did a little mini tap takeover. And, I think both of them did a firkin on the bar plus 4 or 5 six
did a what?
A firkin on the bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Did a firkin on the bar.
They did some firkin on the bar.
I'd be careful saying that. But yeah, we did a little mini tap takeover, and we had them, come behind the bar with us and engage our community and our Mug Club members, and it was a huge hit. And then COVID happened. So we're actually it's still been very difficult to get a lot of imports that, we need for the club. It's difficult to get beer from other states at this point still.
Right.
But next month, a month from yesterday, on the 24th, we're actually relaunching the Mug Club again. So, John, we're going to try to get a future brewery in as soon as we can.
That's
I don't know if you know anything about that.
One of those new Monmouth County breweries.
One of those
right?
new Monmouth County breweries. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, that's a good idea. I think you should definitely.
We're gonna get those guys out here.
Right.
Well, speaking of Monmouth County breweries, I did open my second beer, John.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it from a Monmouth County brewery?
It is Monmouth County Brewery, and I'm appreciating the can.
Okay.
Because I'm a day late. I opened a Frusta from Carton.
Oh, very nice.
And I love this beer, especially since I'm going to Italy in April.
Just don't say his first name.
No, you can't say.
Joe actually doesn't know. So yeah, you can't say the owner of Carton's first name on the show 3 times. It's like Beetlejuice, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you say his name on the show 3 times, there's the
he magically appears.
He magically appears on the show,
or as we like to say, thrice.
Thrice. Yeah.
I shall refrain.
So, but
and then we got to be careful.
You can say it once or twice, but you can't say it that third time, or he's there. So
I've never had the opportunity to meet him, so I'll behave.
I think Dave and I have met him once or twice.
Maybe thrice.
Maybe thrice. Right. Very good. I'm going to open my other Weyerbacher, a little Heresy I'm having right now.
That is one of my favorite beers,
and it's one of mine as well.
That thing at around between 3 to 5 years is a thing of beauty.
This is about 5.5 years old right now.
You're right there. You're right there. So that is when it's at its finest, its smoothest.
Outside of my top 3 beer experiences, but doing a show up in North Jersey, I met one of the tasters from Weyerbacher, and he had a growler of, I think they were calling it Big Woody. I think it was their barrel-aged version of the Blithering Idiot. I don't know if they still call it that.
No, the Blithering Idiot is Insanity. When it's barrel-aged.
Okay. Yeah. At the time, they were calling it Big Woody, and he had almost a full growler. And he's I can't drive with this full, so do you want to taste some? And that was a magical beer that they had.
It's fantastic. And the Rhine Guy's nice.
And the Rhine Guy's glass, isn't it?
I love the tag.
I've been there.
Yeah, I bought this glass there. So.
I love the tagline for Insanity. The tagline for Insanity is "The fool has finally lost it."
Oh my God, this beer's so good.
It's such a good beer. I am so jealous right now.
So, Blithering Idiot and Heresy. Those are my beers tonight. Go figure. So I didn't even put it up yet. There we go. There's Heresy.
There it is.
And it's only 8% too. The Blithering Idiot's the Weyerbacher is Old Heathen aged in bourbon barrels. Blithering Idiot is the base barley wine. When you age that in bourbon barrels, it becomes Insanity.
You said it wrong. Old Heretic is Heresy in bourbon barrels. You said Weyerbacher, not Heresy.
No. Heresy is Old Heathen.
Old Heathen.
Is Old Heathen in bourbon barrels.
Yeah. Okay, I had it backwards too. Yeah.
Heresy is Old Heathen in bourbon barrels. So this is the barrel aged version of Old Heathen.
Yes.
The Blithering Idiot is the barley wine. That's what they put into bourbon barrels to make Insanity. It becomes Insanity, right? So,
and Quad becomes what does it become? They barrel age Quad, and that becomes something else.
What does Quad become? I'm not sure.
Crap! It's such a good beer.
I just had. What did I have?
It'll come to me.
When you figure it out, I just had it too. I had. I think it was new. I never had it.
It becomes Blasphemy. Quad
becomes Blasphemy. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. I had something brand new. It was an Imperial Stout, barrel aged. It was Enormity.
Was that tiny barrel aged?
Maybe it's tiny barrel aged. It's
because if they're barrel aged tiny,
it's 14. Yeah, it is. It's big and bad. The best in the best ways possible. Enormity is what happens when we trap tiny, our Belgian Imperial Stout, in bourbon barrels.
Man, I need to get
that. It's a 14% barrel aged tiny.
I sense a road trip through Hunterdon County.
Yeah, we might have to go up to Weyerbacher
and because that we
might have to drink some really, really, really good Wee Heavy and some other good beers and eat at what's that place? Oh, back to Descendants
the old Ship Inn. But you got to put the Plowman Lunch back on the menu. I loved that.
What is it?
The Plowman's Lunch. Plowman lunch. Anytime I'm somewhere and it has Plowman lunch on it, it's a piece of crusty bread, right? It's usually British pickles or chutney. Usually have fruits on there. There's cheeses on there, and sometimes there's meats on there. But it's really just nuts and such.
I don't think I ever had that there. I don't think I ever.
Yeah, we'll have to play with that again.
The Scotch egg was, by the way. We're going to talk about.
Wait a second. You do Scotch eggs?
Oh, hell yeah.
We do.
Oh my God!
We're known for our Scotch egg.
So you've taken this little bundle of cholesterol, wrapped it in more cholesterol, and then deep fried it.
Exactly.
That is just. Scotch eggs are one of my favorite things.
It's one of my favorite things.
It's why I'm on
Scotch
cholesterol
egg
medication.
Occasionally, a Brit will come over and say they're not supposed to actually be good. These are supposed to be that crappy stuff you find behind the bar. Yours is actually well executed, and that's a little weird to us.
Not that it's the same thing, but I'm a big proponent of. You ever see those pickled sausages that they have in bar supply stores?
The red ones.
The red ones. Yeah, no, right?
Scarily red ones.
Yeah. They're and I actually like them. I do. I can't eat the whole thing, but I love them, right?
But,
but what I'll do is, what we used to do at my old firehouse, what we used to do is we'd have them, and there would only be like 3 of us that ate them, right? So we'd eat the whole thing, but there would be the brine still left in the jar, and we'd hard boil like 3 dozen eggs, and we put them in the brine and sit them in there for a while.
You could buy it that way.
I know you can't, but we did it ourselves. We killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So that was pretty good. But anyway. All right. So
I'm definitely now seriously going through Hunterdon County.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Then into Easton.
So on that note, why don't we talk about some of the food? Let's talk about your menu.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll get back to the beer.
We have a lot of fun with that. So the background behind the menu, we wanted to honor the 4 great beer countries. I'll get an argument over which 4 of those are sometimes, but
are they the 4 or yeah?
Left to right, our home sweet home menu is our American menu that allows us to kind of do whatever we want.
Sure.
Since we're influenced by everyone.
And you own the place, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Being that home, for me, for most of my life has been New Jersey. We do a great debate burger. Your choice of pork roll or Taylor ham.
You can order whichever you want, whichever one you want, you'll get on your.
Yes. And we do like to joke with our guests and ask them which one they like. Their response is very telling.
Yeah.
You'll know where they're from in the state.
Sure.
Or someone from Pennsylvania might try to be extra diplomatic and say, I'll have the Taylor pork roll. And we say, you can't do that. Choose sides.
It's kind of
the Taylor pork ham roll.
Yeah, no.
But Taylor pork roll is usually what we refer to it as the show because we don't want to piss anybody off.
Yeah. No. So we have fun with that. Our next menu is our fatherland menu, which historically would be Germany, but my paternal ancestry is actually Belgian, so we do some bizarrely named Belgian dishes.
Bizarrely named.
Bizarrely.
Example.
Yeah, please.
So my dad's ancestry mostly Belgian and a little Alsatian, so we sneak a little bit of Alsatian in there, which is kind of a German French hybrid. So we'll do an Alsatian flatbread called flammekuchen, and we hear some naughty pronunciations of that. We have mussels, but we call them the mole frites, and we did a great croque monsieur sandwich, which is a Belgian specialty, but we called it the crispy mister. That's the direct translation of croque monsieur.
And there's a crispy
mister
and a crispy madam as well.
Yeah, or you could do the crispy madam if you throw the egg on there.
Yeah, you do it with turkey. I think it becomes a crispy madam, right? Yeah. Ham is the mister, or do I have it backwards?
Well, ham is the mister. I think you can do the turkey or ham for the
ham
for the egg. As long as I think the thing with the croque madame is the egg.
Right.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. It's basically a Monte Cristo French fried.
Yeah. So we have fun with that menu. We do an incredible burger that's actually on a Belgian waffle instead of a bun, which that's one of those Instagram kind of dishes right there.
Oh yeah.
Don't tell my brother
on it, and
please don't tell my brother.
He'll be up here in a minute.
And let's see. After that, the motherland menu is our German menu with a little hint of Polish in there. That menu is in honor of my wife, who was born in Bavaria, lived there till she was 6, and my mom, who's mostly German. And that's a little bit more recognizable for people. That's doing schnitzels or brats and pretzels and stuff that's a little bit more familiar.
I've been known to like brats every now and then.
Yeah, nothing wrong with some brats.
Prolific griller of brats.
Prolific bratwurst griller, yeah, one of the most prolific. Yeah.
You got to do the Wurst.
Look at my look at my bio on the website.
And then in the last section of the menu, we call From the Old Ship, and it's kind of the greatest hits from the ship-in days. Keeping Scotch egg on the menu, and keeping cottage pie and fish and chips and stuff like that. And
cottage pie. Now you know the difference between cottage pie and shepherd's pie.
Yes.
I hope he does. He owns.
I don't want to say
he owns a restaurant that makes it. I hope he knows the difference.
We did an interim menu that we called our transition menu before we officially became Descendants, where we actually featured cottage pie and shepherd's pie.
Because most Americans think that if you make beef, cheese, and mashed potatoes and make it a casserole, it's shepherd's pie, and it is not. Shepherd's pie is lamb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cottage pie is the beef.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is we actually, when we got here, we were doing a shepherd's pie, but it was actually a cottage pie, because I think the story goes enough people were freaked out about doing lamb, so they kind of just switched it to beef, I think.
Well, I mean, as long as you're like, if you have ground lamb and you don't have any mint in it, it's not going to taste like lamb, and you think that what lamb would taste like. So it's not really that, I mean, there's a little bit of gaminess to it, but there's not really that big of a difference between the two at all. You really, unless you really think about it, you can't tell.
Yeah, especially in a shepherd's pie, you've got enough stuff going on in there that, there's a lot going on.
Peas, carrots, gravy, cheese, potatoes.
Right. Yeah, but so we do a 4-part menu. It's formatted in a fun way so that we definitely drive our servers crazy, asking them to explain how the menu works before people sit, when people sit down. But most people actually get a real kick out of it, because it's kind of a something for everyone kind of format.
That's awesome.
And we felt that it really represented, beer history and culture. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of our spin, and it's been pretty well received, over the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, I'm liking that.
That's awesome. Well, the Scotch egg was phenomenal.
Yeah,
thank you.
And oddly enough, I did actually have an appetizer for my main course when I was there.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all, especially when it's involving a bratwurst. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst.
The drunken brats.
They're good.
That was so good.
They're so good. And we just right after you came, we actually just launched our winter menu on Thursday. So we've got even more good stuff for you to try.
I got to get back there.
Yeah, we need to do a road trip,
We'll have to go. We'll have to go. Definitely. Very soon.
Maybe our next Lager Room guys
we'll
live.
Have to do a live thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We could do that. Definitely.
Feeding, just popping Scotch eggs in our face.
Oh yeah. While you talk while I eat one, I'll talk while you eat one. Yeah.
Well, we could talk while
we could do that too, and we've done that before. But,
we've done it before.
Yes, this is true. All right, so let's talk about a little bit more about the beer.
Sure.
Whatchamacallit? You mentioned the Albagara that you had, the Wee Heavy. I mentioned Killer Bee was phenomenal. The ESB, it was just. I had 3 of them. So.
Thank you.
I'm like, you know what? Should I have something else? And Dave, seriously, ask him what's on his guest tap, if you will, his other taps.
Hey, Joe, what's on your guest tap?
We kicked 4 2 days ago, so it's all brand new.
So what
was on your guest tap?
Ideally, we like to have mostly our own stuff, but we had a few issues where I couldn't brew for a few weeks, so I'm playing catch up in the brewery right now. We always keep the Rothaus Tannenzapfel Pils. We always keep that. That's just to kind of represent the German history.
Sure.
And I'm not lagering on this system just yet. When we do our fermentation room expansion, hopefully later this year, we'll get some conicals so that I can start lagering. but we always keep the Roadhouse on. I do keep the Young's Double Chocolate Stout on. That sticks around. That's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Throw Bell's Two Hearted on every once in a while. I'll usually get yelled at because I'll find something super rare and weird, and the staff doesn't want to pronounce it. We have a specialty right now from DuPont, the Bonzvo, which is their it's a 9.5% saison.
It's a beautiful beer.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful beer, and I get yelled at for that one because it's like, why would you get that? No one's going to drink it.
Exactly.
Really?
And it's not, the goal for us really, is to, move our own beer. And I like to complement it with some, I guess, indulge, so to speak, and some harder to find stuff.
Sure.
We had super excited a couple months ago. We had the Ex-Schlenker Lahellus on tap. And
nice.
that was a magical beer.
Sure.
That was a lot of fun. But what I'll try to do is I'll try to put stuff on that I'm not brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put a sour on
the styles that you're not brewing currently. You don't have available. You don't compete with yourself and and so forth.
At the end of the day, you
yeah.
still want the majority of the beer going out the door to be your own.
But
but I want our guests to be able to indulge or
sure.
try some other things. And then we do a bottle menu / can menu called our Origins menu. Mm-hmm. And it's got 4 sections closely resembling our food menu where we have Motherland, Fatherland, and From the Old Ship. But instead of an American section, we do a section that I like to call Divine Suds, where we feature as many Trappist beers as we can get. So, we do 8 of each, and we specifically try to find more esoteric, unique styles. So
I noticed one particular Flemish red on the menu when I was there.
Oh, we have the Duchess on tap all the time.
Oh, that Duchess.
Duchess on tap.
Duchess on tap all the time.
Duchess
That's my
on
wife's
bottle.
favorite beer.
Duchess on tap.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we
may never make it to Weyerbacher.
I don't think so. We may have to go there first for one beer and then go to Joe.
Wait a second. Are there hotels in your town?
We have bed and breakfast, and we are developing
I was going to get there.
an Airbnb on the 3rd floor that we're going to call a bed and brew.
Okay.
So we're going to have our own accommodations in a few months.
You do that, and if I can get in, I will probably go through every item on your menu and every beer on your list.
He's going to need help getting up. He's going to need help getting up the stairs, though.
No, all right, we're signing Dave up for the Mug Club.
How do you get your grain sacks around? Because whatever transport you have for that is what you're going to need to get me up to my room after.
Speaking of
his
that,
shoulder, that's what it is.
and part of the reason why you can actually see grain bags right now, you shouldn't actually be able to see those right now. For the first 4 years we were here, I never had a problem with a grain delivery. And yesterday, a 46-foot trailer came in, and which is normal.
Yeah.
But a new shipping company came in, and they had the grain. They had a full pallet, 40 bags, all the way in the front of the truck. And the driver comes and finds me, and he says, "Yeah, I don't have a pallet jack or a lift gate. It wasn't in the notes."
He's a 46-foot trailer, and he doesn't have a pallet jack?
And I looked at him.
Or a
and
lift
I said,
gate.
"Well, how'd you get it to the other side of the truck?"
Well, not all trailers will have a lift gate, especially those sizes. Technically, usually do not have a lift gate. It's the smaller trucks that have the lift gate.
Right? Yeah. Well, 6 to
They're
1,
used
but
for local deliveries.
right. Those trucks either back up to a platform, a dock, or they have a forklift that comes out in the yard and gets the stuff off. And that's fine. But there's usually a pallet jack on the truck. The forklift doesn't go into the truck. If he's got pallets all the way in the back of the truck, he's got to have something in the truck to get him to the forklift.
If you've got a loading dock, you usually have a forklift that goes into the truck.
He actually asked me where my loading dock was, and I looked at him and I said, "Dude, we got a 140-year-old Victorian. I wish I had one, but
so you hand loaded all of them in, or shoulder loaded all of them in, basically.
They came back today, and we had the pallet jack, but the lift wasn't working. So it was a fun grain load today.
Good handoff.
Lovely.
Bucket brigade handoff
lovely.
of.
There you go.
It was fun today.
Grain bags, nice.
That's funny. But on that note, what I was saying before, that ESB was phenomenal. I just, you know what? Here's the thing. If I had one Duchess, I would have had 3 Duchesses. Okay. Nothing to your beer. It's just that beer. It's that one beer.
No, it's
and a Tagament.
Oh yeah, but I'm like,
it's so hard to find.
I had the first Killer Bee. I'm like, this is my beer the rest of the night. That's it. So I had 3 of them. So I'm like,
well, thank you.
Had the Wee Heavy been on, that would have been a different story. But
and Jess was driving, right?
Yes, Jess was driving. Yes.
No, that's the Killer's. The Killer's a fun
Sure.
one. It's an ESB. It's basically an imperial ESB with a whole lot of wildflower honey.
Gotta love it. Doug Smith has a comment for you, a question for you, Joe. He wants to know: are you still using the Ringwood yeast on the Peter Austin system?
Yes, it is still our house yeast. But one thing we learned going up to Davidson Brothers up in Glens Falls was that it doesn't have to be the only yeast that we use, as long as we do a great job cleaning up. You know, we can start incorporating some new stuff. So we use a 1318 London Ale for our hazy and for our pale. When we do our Wee Heavy, we're doing something totally different. We've incorporated some Belgian styles where we're using Belgian yeast strains. So it's still, I'd say we're using it about half the time, but not that's not the only thing that
using it more than any other yeast, but not.
Yeah, we still use it more than any other yeast. One big change that we made. Some beers you want that butteriness. You don't want that diacetyl. If you're doing a classic bitter, you definitely still want that. A while back, we learned about an adjunct. We use 1 ounce of it. It's called ALDC, and that's alpha acetolactate decarboxylase, and that's actually going to cut all that buttery diacetyl notes that you're going to find. And it gives us a little bit more flexibility with the strains, so that we can use it for other things. But yeah, we still use it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we used to get it from Shipyard, but they decided to tear the brewery down for a hotel.
Yeah.
So we decided to take the strain over to East Coast Yeast, and Al Buck does a great job of keeping it going for us.
Al does a great job at East Coast. Yeah, absolutely.
He does a great job.
Doug Smith said he went to ship in years and years ago. Looks like I need to return. Do you do a mild? There you go.
I haven't done a mild in a little bit.
Do a mild.
Do a mild.
My good buddy Doug over at Flounder's been chatting with me about doing a collaboration where we each do a mild. Someone else is involved too, but we're each going to do a mild and see how it ends up. So we're gonna bring that back.
Awesome.
It's a style I
love a good English mild. I was out at Grist House out in Pittsburgh in July last year, and
you should have gotten a glass while you were there.
I should have gotten a glass, and I should have gotten a shirt or so. Oh no, I did.
You may have got both.
I might have got both. Yeah. But whatchamacallit, they did London Crawling, they called it.
Nice.
And it was an English mild. It was fucking phenomenal. It was such a good mild.
I'm trying to think, the best mild I've had in the last few years was actually I can't think of the name of the brewery in Hackensack.
Elementary.
Mr. Elementary.
Stevens.
Yeah,
Yes,
the Mr. Stevens. That's a fantastic mild.
Is a fantastic mild.
That's a terrific mild. I've been raving about that for
Blake, yeah,
years now.
it makes a great mild. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
So what we got to do, John, is when we head out to ship in, we got to drag Doug with us.
We can do that.
We can do that.
I think we should drag Doug with us. Why not? So.
Well, we've never met him.
We've never met Doug, so that would be a perfect. There
you go.
There you go. So, cool. All right. So what's all right? So you have the you did the ESB. Obviously, we talked about that. You did the Wee Heavy. You have a what's in the what did you brew that's coming up? Oh, you did the Welsh Red.
Yeah, we have our Welsh Red coming up. So that's part of our Hidden Nation line, and we'll generally get a little bit more experimental with that. I actually a little bit of smoked malt, a few cloves in there just to kind of
cloves.
Yeah,
nice
inside joke.
Terrifying ingredient to work with.
Yes.
God, can it destroy a beer?
The oils in cloves. can take everything over.
Yeah. We do.
You gotta be very, very, very
judicious.
There's a good word. Judicious with your.
The Locker Room guys are going to publish a thesaurus one of these years.
Right. I think we should.
For our Hidden Nation brewing line, we do a beer in July that we call Lego My Gallego.
Lego My Gallego.
Lego My Gallego. In honor of
Spanish.
In honor of the Galician Celts in northwestern Spain.
There you go.
You got it. So there's really, we did a lot of research on this, and there's really not much of a brewing history there, but they do a spirit that's very similar to grappa in that area.
Okay.
I think it's Orojo de Hierbas, and each village uses a combination of usually 3 or 4 spices out of a group of about 15 different spices and herbs and fruits and everything. And when we designed that beer, I wanted to just kind of play off of that spirit. I wanted to get out of my own comfort zone and just kind of challenge myself when we did that. So we chose chamomile, fennel, clove, and coriander for that.
Wow. Okay.
And we did it as a gruit, actually.
That would make sense.
Yeah, we did it as a gruit because going back to when that really was a Celtic area of Spain, hops wouldn't have been introduced at the time. So we really wanted to kind of play off of that. So we call it a Spanish Celtic farmhouse gruit, which is ridiculous. It's kind of silly. My wife's favorite beer that I've ever brewed. So that, hopefully counts for something. But it's a light bodied red, really fascinating beer I think we had it for about 6 weeks before we kicked it. And, everyone's palate was different. Everyone picked up a different flavor. You'd get people who just got the fennel or the chamomile or the clove, and that was an interesting experimental beer that we did. But that was a fun one.
There is a Galician beer out there.
Estrella Galicia.
That's the one.
Yes. So we celebrate.
It is what it is. The reason we do that
in July is July 25th is Galicia Day, and so we did we didn't get to do it the last 2 years because of COVID, but 3 years ago we did a Galicia Day, and we actually did a Galician menu, and I think I found 4 different versions of Estrella Galicia just to throw it out there and kind of celebrate what they're doing, and we're hoping to bring that back this year.
What's fun is there's some people that I know who their ancestors are from Galicia, and they like to slur it. They like to pronounce it Galicia, and they say
that comes about 3 hours after you start drinking.
There's that. That's natural.
That's natural.
But the put on one is because they claim that there is a lisp in Galician speech, and it's because they developed it because one of the princesses from Galicia had a lisp, and they developed that to make her more comfortable.
I have heard that story.
Yeah, and it's just it's beautiful silliness, right?
That's why we do beers called Lego My Gallego.
Lego My Gallego, right?
And
exactly.
Playing into the separatist kind of stuff as well.
There you go.
But
I love it.
I bet our listeners
that's a fun
didn't
line
know.
For us though, because it's we do, I think I said we do like 7 or 8 of those, so every other month, or at the beginning of the year, every month, we'll put something out, and it's stuff that you don't usually see. So we have fun with that. We do.
That's awesome.
No, that's amazing, because Absolutely. you get people in the craft beer world who've been in it for a while. They're looking for that. They're looking for something different. They're looking for, an American brewery taking, international beer styles, flavors, bringing it into their beer.
Yeah.
Because, how many friggin' New England IPAs can you drink and go, oh, this one's so different than the other one because they changed one hop in it. Stop. Let's give me something that's going to challenge my palate. Give me something I can chew through and then break it down.
Right.
Something I've not had before. And so I love what you're doing, bringing, these, your mother list, your father list, bringing these styles in, because they're starting to increase in popularity now. You're starting to see a few more miles. You're starting to see a few more bitters. Smoke beers are starting to increase a little bit more.
You're seeing a lot more. You're seeing a shit ton in the last several months. You're seeing a shit ton of Schwartz beers and dark Czech lagers.
Oh, the Tmave
Pivos are
Pivos.
crazy. It's amazing. Like almost every brewery you see is making a Tmave Pivo, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm happy, very happy
celebrating it. Celebrating.
So, but something you would never 5 years ago you would have never seen that.
Nope.
Never ever seen that. They would have never done that.
It's fun to celebrate the old beers. I know for us, like for our Origins menu or guest bottle list, someone will look at me and they say, "What's a guzz?" And I'm like, let's explore that. So you're having a menu with a guzz, with an Eisbach, with Berliner Weiss and alt beer and just styles that you really don't see too often.
Are you doing an Eisbach or are you bringing an Eisbach in?
That's part of our Origins menu or guest bottle list.
So okay.
Yeah, that's not something that I'm quite ready to tackle.
I'd say that's some complications.
What are you bringing? What are you bringing in? What Eisbach are you bringing in?
We have the Schneider.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, but I also have a case of Kronbacher in the cellar as well. And we'll throw that in as a special.
You should give a call to Greg and see if he can get a sixtel at least of his Eisbach.
Mm-hmm. Who has that?
Ramstein. He makes an Eisbach. He makes an Eisbach
awesome.
Every end of February, beginning of March every year. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and it's people. Once in a while, someone will be like, "Why do you have all these weird styles in the menu? For your guest menu?" And I say, "You know what? I have a little ditty above the menu where I kind of say, if it wasn't for all these styles, it was craft before we were craft.
Sure.
Over the course of a few hundred years.
Absolutely.
Doing Gozes and Berliner Weisses and an Udbrunn and all these different styles that I think sometimes we forget.
Udbrunns are very,
that's
very
one of my favorites.
I love Udbrunns. Absolutely.
We have the Vandergenst Udbrunn, and that's that is a not guilty pleasure at all. That's a
what?
Style.
Kudos to you to explaining it to him rather than saying these are not the weird styles. Mm-hmm. And any IPA is a weird style when you look at the history of beer. It's just
look at the history of beer. A New England IPA does not fit in anywhere.
Yeah, that's the American centric.
It's making the most money for every brewery in the entire United States, but it does not fit in any style anywhere.
No, these styles, they're not weird styles. They're traditional styles.
Right, traditional styles. Yeah.
Speaking of IPA, we I think I don't know if it was on yet. Was the Fluffy Bunny on when you were here?
Yeah, I know I had it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's our hazy, and we call it Fluffy Bunny.
Mm-hmm. You got to make one.
You have to do it. The story behind Fluffy Bunny was trying to be as not heavy metal as we could with the name. Some of my favorite IPAs are wonderful beers, but they went with the most heavy metal name they could come up with. Not naming any of them. Yeah. But I said, let's come up with the least heavy metal name we could possibly come up with.
And Fluffy Bunny certainly fits that bill.
And hence Fluffy Bunny was born. But you think bunnies hop, so there you go.
Well,
but you'd be amazed how many people won't say Fluffy Bunny when they order it.
Really?
Oh, they won't.
It was like when
they won't say it. Seriously,
they won't say it. And we've trained our staff to not bring it until they say it.
That's great.
There you go.
Which we have fun with.
That's great. I love it.
It reminds me of that story of when we had that anthrax scare in the country when that person was mailing anthrax around, and they interviewed the band. Supposedly. No, they were actually.
But not every one of the scares were actually. More.
But they interviewed the band Anthrax, and they're like, when we came up with the name, we just thought it was like kind of hardcore and kind of cool, but this shit's real. Yeah. So we're really thinking of changing our name to like Basket Full of Puppies or something.
We not beer.
And now on the main stage, Basket Full of Puppies.
Not beer related, but we're putting out our new cocktail menu next week, and our cocktail menu is named after the guy who owned the building when it was a speakeasy. Mm-hmm. And so it's all Prohibition, like riffs on Prohibition era cocktails. So I always want to do an aviation, and we're doing a riff on an aviation, and
that's a nice cocktail.
We're calling it Ryan Reynolds' Dreamy.
There you go.
And my wonderful wife does not want to call it that, but
why not?
I keep telling her it's worth the laughs that we're going to get.
Oh yes,
absolutely.
And it's a lovely light purple. It's
Ryan Reynolds is dreamy.
We're gonna have fun with that one.
It's good.
That was one thing before Betty White, right before she passed away. She released a thing. She released a press thing that she said that she needs Ryan Reynolds to get over her. It's never going to happen.
I saw that.
Something like that.
You need to do you have TVs there, I assume.
What's that?
Do you have TVs there?
We have 2 TVs, and we get yelled at all the time because we use the one behind the bar as our digital chalkboard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Available in the right circumstance. Although I think, at the last place when I was over at Pier 115, I think we had middle school boys lacrosse on, and I use that joke. I'm a huge baseball fan and hockey fan, as big as you're going to find, but TV for TV's sake kind of gets me.
And tell now that you hold that thought. Okay, finish that thought, and then I'll ask you.
But yeah,
Don't ask them.
We generally don't do the TV thing. And
I was going to say, because the one that you use for your digital chalkboard, if you've ever seen the commercial that Hugh Jackman developed for Aviation Gin, you just need to run that when you launch.
I haven't seen that one, but I have seen a bunch of the commercials. The Ryan Reynolds vasectomy cocktail commercials my favorite. If you haven't seen that one is.
But what they did is, because there's that internet battle between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
So they decided to do commercials for each other's product, and Hugh Jackman's got his coffee line, and Ryan Reynolds just this beautiful commercial about the sustainability of the coffee and the beauty, and Hugh Jackman's sitting there, and of course it's probably all pretend, but he's like, I need to go back and work on mine, because he's pretending that he thought it was a joke, and it's really just him sitting on a couch, and there's a coffee table and there's a bottle of Aviation on it, and he just like kind of knocks it over and goes, Aviation Gin, drink it or don't, I don't care.
That's great.
Oh, the fake war between the two of them is just classic. I don't know what's more classic, that or the way him and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively tear each other to shreds on Instagram.
Fun. Yeah,
we're definitely gonna we'll sneak that into our Untapped screen above the bar for sure.
I think you should. On that note, though, your cocktails wise, the Manhattan was fantastic. By the way,
thank you. Yeah, that's
Manhattan's my favorite cocktail.
Nico Diaz helped us develop a really great mixology cocktail menu. He did a good job. The new menu we're doing is a little bit more whiskey heavy, since we got a few whiskeys behind the bar.
Couple.
I have no problem with whiskey.
Yeah, we're about to up our whiskey collection to over 200 bottles. So we enjoy our whiskey here too, which is
you're going to need something more. You're going to need something more powerful than a pallet jack to get me in my room.
Yeah,
we're be total dead weight.
There you go.
I never intended to do it, but a little whiskey hobby turned into. I think someone told it we have the second biggest whiskey collection in New Jersey now.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Which is fun, and so we're I guess someone recently referred to us as a brewery and whiskey bar, and I said I'm totally fine with that.
John, we're never making it into Pennsylvania.
No, we're never. We just skip. Yeah, we've been here. We had this.
We'll be bloated from Scotch eggs, Duchess whiskey, and all the great beer that's produced by Descendants.
There you go. Sounds like it's going to be a great beer moment for us.
Yeah, I was going to say that might hit into the top 3 for me.
It's going to be a great beer moment.
It's not in there now, but
segue.
I like segues.
It's funny. I usually do the segues, but apparently John's getting hungry.
I just thought of it, so I threw it out there. So that was good. Anyway,
John does not eat before the show.
No,
he eats after the show.
Yeah.
So the length of most of the shows is based on how hungry John is.
This is true.
John's not very hungry.
So I'm getting there, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. So
there's been shows.
I can smell dinner cooking downstairs, by the way. So
there's been shows where he segue into the top 3s in about 20 minutes in.
So anyway, all right. So on that note, segue. We'll do our top three tonight. For tonight, our top three list tonight, which was actually suggested by Mr. Joe David himself.
Thank you, Joe, because we are running out of ideas.
No. We have a few. We have a
few.
I can't believe you haven't done this one yet.
We haven't. We've done it with mead. We haven't done it with beer.
Yeah.
Right.
So there you go.
We did it with Sergio.
We did it with Sergio with mead. So it's our top three favorite beer moments we've experienced. And why does it say moment? Hold on.
Because you can't type.
No. I don't know why I did, but there you go.
Never.
Top three favorite beer moments we've experienced. Top three favorite beer moments we've experienced. And in our log room fashion, we're going to let, of course, our guest of honor go first. So, Joe, have at it. Let us know your top three favorite beer moments that you've experienced.
All right. So I'm often asked by guests what my favorite beer is, and that's like choosing your favorite child. And I'll offer. I can tell you the 10 most significant.
We have favorite childs. We're just not allowed to.
You're just not allowed to say it, right?
I do not. I love all my kids the same.
You kept your face straight. That was impressive.
I do.
I often say, I couldn't give you my favorite beer, but I could sit down over, a few beers and tell you the 10 most significant beer moments of my life. And they laugh and they say, you've really thought this through that much.
Right.
So the most significant one, I think, to some people doesn't sound that remarkable because you can find this beer anywhere, even in the U.S. But it was 2007 or 2008, I think, and I was doing like a month in Europe. And it was right before I got to Oktoberfest, which is fun. But I was in
I've heard that,
which is fun. But I was in Innsbruck, Austria, and the hotel I was staying in on the side of the mountain had a little hotel bar.
On the side of the mountain?
On the side of the mountain, yeah. It was ridiculous. I don't know how we found that one. But I went into the hotel bar, and at that point I liked beer, but I never had that moment where I said I love beer. And I looked at the bartender, and I asked for something quintessentially Alpine. And just to see what, to them was, home, I guess.
Right.
And he handed me a Weinsteffen Weissbier, Hefeweizen, which is easy to find.
But still.
But at that moment, I took my first couple sips and I had that eureka kind of light bulb, oh my God, I love beer moment. And I looked at the bartender and I said...
My favorite hef, by the way. I just want to point that out.
What's that?
By far my favorite hef right there.
Probably the best hef.
I still think at this point it's the best one in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the history.
Well, they've been making it since the
1040.
1300s. 1040.
They almost have it dialed in. Almost.
What's that?
That's
they almost
right.
have it dialed in. Give them another 100 or so years.
Yeah.
No. I mean, in another 18 years, that beer will be 1,000 years old. So I think it's dialed in by now.
But I remember looking at the bartender and just marveling and saying that this is the greatest beer I've ever had in my entire life. And he just looked across the bar and he was kind of like, whatever.
Whatever.
He's been drinking it since he was 6.
Right.
But
legal there.
I usually start with that because that was kind of the aha moment, for me that I think really kind of started the journey for me. So that's my number one.
That's your number one. So you're going 1, 2, 3.
So you're going 1, 2, 3. So
yeah, I'm going 1, 2, 3.
There you go. All right, go ahead, continue.
Okay.
Go your whole list. Yeah.
Number 2, Anna and I had just got married, and we'd gone back to the hotel, and there was the hotel bar right next to the little courtyard in the middle square of the hotel. She had no idea where I was, even though we could see her and most of her friends and family through the window the whole time. But there was a table outside, and a good buddy of mine, also named Joe, he was living in Belgium, and he brought back 2 bottles of Westvleteren and a chalice. And him and I and my groomsmen, we pre-COVID, of course, we handed that chalice around the table a few times.
Which beer was it again?
The Westvleteren, the Trappist. So at that point, it was every bit the hype. not just because it's rare, but it was that's kind of a holy grail kind of beer.
Now he brought that once the wedding was over. You left the reception. You were back at the hotel in the courtyard. He brought it out, right? He couldn't have brought it out at the reception, right?
When you were there, no.
When I was there, he couldn't have brought it out at the reception, right? No.
Yeah, he definitely
waited until I left.
Then he brought it until John left.
Yeah, it's not often you can indulge in a Westie.
There you go. This is true.
No, yeah, it was. He had joked about bringing it, but I didn't think he actually would. But no, he brought 2 bottles of it, and we just passed the chalice around the table a few times.
For listeners who don't know, to get this beer, you need to go to the brewery. You need to call ahead. Mm-hmm. Give your driver's license. Your driver's license then gets they write that down, and you can only go once a month. And
it's like once a month. Yeah, something like
that's
that.
Once a month. There's a limit of what you can get. There's a few times where they've released it. It's sold in the U.S.
very briefly.
Once in for
about 3 hours.
I don't think it was quite that long. Actually,
it may not have been that long.
I doubt it lasted
hour and a half. Actually, hour 45 maybe.
When they released it, there's one time they released it into the stores in Belgium, and there was really it was kind of like it
didn't last as long on the shelves in Belgium as it does at the brewery for that hour and a half.
Yeah, well, what happened was it was like like a sale at Dave's Bridal in the middle of wedding
June,
wedding season. It was just apparently brutal. People, this is not typical thing in Belgium. We're used to that in Black Fridays in New Jersey.
Sure.
Best Buy, but everyone's got to get those big TVs. But the Belgians were acting very uncharacteristically Belgium when this got released. So people are wondering why this is such the rarity of this beer. Mm-hmm. The Belgians will beat the hell out of each other to get their hands on it.
Absolutely.
And the irony, knowing that every Trappist beer is brewed to sustain life on a monastic, or for charitable causes.
Charity.
There you go.
That the irony there is terrific.
The irony is not lost on that. That's for sure.
No.
So that's number 2. My wife freaked out because she didn't know where we were, and meanwhile we could see them the whole time, which kind of.
So you didn't share it with your new bride?
I didn't.
That's a great way to start off.
There you go.
Hey, the rarest beer I've ever had.
It's the wedding night. Where's my husband? I don't know. He's down drinking a beer with somebody.
He's doing something very, very special without you.
In my defense, her 2 brothers were with me.
There you go.
I don't.
Well,
think
there you go. That covers it.
I don't think that's a consolation to her.
No, it covers it. It covers it. You cover your ass. You're good.
No. I think that makes it worse. I think it actually makes it worse.
Depends on how she feels about her brothers. So.
Not a top 3, but I remember the day before the wedding, introducing Duchess to her brothers at Salt.
Salt. Yeah, Salt.
Yeah,
Salt up in Sussex County.
I haven't been to Salt in ages.
It's been forever. Yeah,
and
Gene was probably
We went there the night before the wedding because they had Duchess.
Yeah,
that's why you went there, because they had Duchess.
My buddy Mike found it, and he was looking on beermenus.com, and he said, "Well, that place has Duchess." So we said, "All right."
That's funny.
Who knows? Maybe they hadn't sold it in 4 months, but we went in and I think we drank all of it.
Oh my God,
it doesn't matter how long it's been sitting on tap.
Oh no, not that.
Yeah,
no,
not that one. No.
I once had a waitress bring. We had the Duchess and no, it wasn't Duchess. It was a different Flemish red. The Cuvée du Jacobins.
Oh, okay. That's
another
beautiful beer.
Beautiful beer. She brought it back over to me and said the table didn't like it and saw the expiration date and is upset that it's so sour. And
I gotta love it. Yeah, the beer went bad. It went bad. It went bad. Throw it. You know what? I'll take it.
And I said, well,
give me it. I'll take it.
You don't get upset. You can't get upset, but you just you use it as a learning moment or teaching moment, and you say, so let me show you the date on the bottle. It's actually the born on date, and it's supposed to be sour. And
please don't use the term born on date.
Born on
date. Yeah.
This is when it was. This is when it was bottled.
It's a macro. That's a macro term.
Born on date. She was 18 and she was young, and I needed to make it as easy to understand as possible.
Easiest, yeah, exactly. So,
yeah,
it's a learning moment, like you said.
But so that's not a top three, but yeah. So all right, top number three.
Number
moment.
three.
This was probably about 7 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I went down to the Asheville area where her grandparents live. And this was at the very beginning of the amazing craft boom. Not the beginning, no, because you had really great craft breweries over there. But Oscar Blues had just arrived, and bless you. Oscar Blues had just arrived, and New Belgium had just arrived, and Sierra had just arrived. So we were down there, and one of my best friends, Mike, came up from Atlanta. He was living up there. I think it was only a 3-hour drive for him. So it was the day before Thanksgiving. We went over to Oscar Blues. We had a great time for a little bit. And the bartender said, "Oh, have you been over to Sierra yet? They finally finished the production side of the facility. The restaurant's not ready yet, but you have to go check it out." So we went over there, and 2 other people were walking in at the same time as us. And we went into an empty lobby. And at Sierra, they have a guest experience manager. A great guy named John, who, if I recall correctly, left a career in aerospace dynamics to be the guest experience manager at Sierra. John, if you ever hear this, we appreciate what you did for us.
That's a great upgrade.
So we just started chatting with John, and the other 2 that were there. He said, "Where are you guys from?" They're like, "Oh, we're local. We live close by." And he said, "Where are you guys from?" And my buddy said, "Oh, I live in Georgia now." And I said, "I live in Jersey." And he's like, "Well, how long are you in town?" And Mike said, 3 more hours. And then I'm going back to Atlanta. And I said 3 more days. And the 2 other people, they left. And he goes, "Listen, we're about to close up, go into the holiday. But since you guys are in the industry, I'm going to give you a quote unquote abbreviated tour, a private tour." And an abbreviated tour at the new Sierra facility was 45 minutes for us. We are looking at.
That's more than a nickel.
I was going to say, what's the long tour?
This
was
was
the regular tour.
I mean, for us, this was like going into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without all the childs dying. All the children dying.
You've got a $220 million facility. As you're driving up, you can't even believe what you're looking at. It's crazy. The bridges leading up to the building were
with beer flowing under them
and stone and wood milled on the property.
A couple of kids diving into the
stuck in the tubes.
Stuck in the beer tubes going on.
Oh, the pressure!
That was me.
You were Ghostus Gloop.
But so he gives us this tour, and he's like, "We're just going to do an abbreviated tour because you guys know all this stuff." And as we're getting into the tour, we're seeing technology that we've never seen before. I mean, we're seeing technology that probably 90% of American brewers never get to actually work with.
Right.
For the next 20 years. But their hop storage room was probably bigger than our building right here.
God.
Which was insane. I mean, it was just the scale, and what they're doing is incredible. But he took really good care of us. He really, what he called an abbreviated tour for us was, I mean, it was, we kept joking. This is like, we're in Willy Wonka right now. But he called the tap room manager and he said, "We're going to give these guys a private tasting." And that was another 45 minutes. He let us kind of hang out. Let us try everything. Called the girls in the gift shop and said, "Stay open for these guys. They'll buy some stuff." And what was going to be like almost us leaving ended up being like a few hours later. They just kind of rolled out the red carpet for us. And the funny thing is, I was never like a huge Sierra guy at the time. I wasn't really, drinking pale ales or anything like that. And they turned us onto the stuff that you just don't see too often. Introduced us to their Belgian, their more monastic style stuff, and some barrel aged narwhal, and some good stuff.
Narwhal.
And
oh
Garlic,
That
narwhal,
was,
yeah.
I haven't had narwhal in ages.
Absolutely.
Oh, I have a bottle. You have to when you come out here, I'll pull that out.
There we go.
But no, I think that was probably number 3. You know,
Awesome.
just kind of our own personal Willy Wonka. You know, we found a golden ticket somehow, and
That's awesome.
So
Yeah,
that's good to know because in August I will be in Nashville.
Yes, you will.
That is really close to the top, if not the top of the hit list. We've my lady is hitting a milestone birthday. We'll call it.
She's going to be 30.
Yeah, we're going to call it 30.
and you know what? There's so many breweries there now. I mean, and smaller breweries are popping up all over the place.
Where the Airbnb we're staying at is within half a mile of 22 different breweries.
You could stay. Look. You seriously, you could stay anywhere in Asheville, and you're within a half a mile of 22 breweries.
Probably, yeah.
I think they won Beer Town USA like 5 years running.
Yeah, they haven't done it in the last couple of years, but I think they're working to get that title back.
Yeah, but no, they're a lot of great stuff. The gas station at the bottom of the hill.
Yes, that's
where
on the
his
list to go.
grandparents lived was just turned into a brewery. It's everything.
That's awesome. All right,
those
Samurai.
Those are my 3.
Those are your 3. Awesome.
So my 3 are based on one of the things I love to do the most, and what I love to do is to turn people on to craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
Craft beer is for sharing. Right? Craft beer is if you've got a fantastic beer, sharing that. You just said it with Narwhal. Come down, we'll open that up. That's craft beer right there. I've got this thing. It's a great beer. I want to share it with other people. You know, people don't sit there hoard their beer only for their own consumption. They want to share. That's what the whole concept of bottle shares, all of this. So my memories, my beer moments are really about those moments where I've taken people that are important to me and had experiences with craft beer.
Right.
These are really in no order, but I'll start with 3. 1 and 2 are probably 1 and 1. It's 1A, 1B, or 1-1, 1-2, whatever. So I'll start off with the third one. I used to go down to Hunapoo and pour for these guys. So
who owns that brewery?
And what I'm saying. But the first year there, the first year is when they were still doing it. Scar City was still doing Hunapoo Day in their parking lot. It was kind of smaller then. It was the first year that New Jersey breweries had been invited, and Carton Brewing and Kane Brewing were invited that year. Sure. And you've got Kane and Carton. They're up against not up against, but they're pouring next to Toppling Goliath, Alchemist, Arizona Wilderness. You've got these huge Goose Island before the takeover. So it was really quite an honor to be down there for it. And they had a VIP room, and unlike most festivals, these VIP rooms, these were not for people who paid extra money to have a VIP experience. The VIP room was actually for the people from the breweries, working for the breweries. And you would go in there, and when you got in there, it was basically the brewers from all these fantastic breweries trying to impress the other brewers. So you basically have a room full of these buckets with ice, with nothing but whales stuck in the ice.
Sure.
So talk about a kid in a candy shop.
Sure.
And I walk in, and this is when it was extremely rare to find. COVID made it not as rare to find. But all of a sudden, they start walking in, and they cart in cases of Heady Topper. And they're cracking cans off and handing them out before they realize, oh, no, we're supposed to put them in the ice and pour them, not hand out cans. I was wearing, because I'm in Florida, I'm wearing cargo shorts. So I got one of the cans, and I put it into one of the pockets of my cargo shorts, one of the 80,000 pockets that I had. Because it was full on remembered. My brother had never had Heady Topper. My brother is really into craft beer. Occasionally he'll watch the show. He's been on the show a couple of times.
I think he's probably been on the show more than he watched it. So.
Yeah, probably. Exactly. He's been on twice and maybe watched it once. Right. And so I remember going back, and I had driven down, so I had a cooler there. And I opened the cooler, and I take the can out of my pocket and go into the cooler, and I'll say his name once. Augie Carton looked at me and goes, I just saw a silver and black can go.
Hold on. Who did you say? Who said that?
I'm not saying it again. And he goes, I just saw a yellow, silver and black can go into your cooler. Is that what I think it is? It is what you think it is. And my brother has never had it, and that's where that's going because I was going to then because he lived in Jacksonville, Florida at the time. So on the way up, I was going to stop at his place, and I was able to hand him his first can of Heady Topper.
Very nice.
The best part of it is he was going to give me something in trade, and his wife, who was his fiance at the time, saw what he was going to give me, and she goes, "No. Your brother just gave you the beer you've been looking for your whole life, and that's what you're going to give him? Wrong."
Would he give you a Schlitz?
I'll have 6 Schlitz.
A 6-pack of Rheingold.
Yeah, right. Black label. And so he just looks at her, realizes, okay, she's right. And he pulled out something much better, which I definitely enjoyed. So that'll be number 3. Like I said, the next 2 are kind of 1A, 1B, and it's 2 people in my life that I really, really adore. But we'll start.
So me and Joe, right? Yeah.
No, but yeah, sure, no. Other than you guys. So one was, in the room back there, Carrie's back there. That's the one who I'm going to Asheville with to celebrate the 30th birthday.
Her 30th.
With the anniversary of her 30th birthday. We're going to. So I took her to her first brewery. I think it was Twin Elephant.
Okay, fair enough.
And so it's kind of a 2-moment thing. And so doing what you normally do with someone who's really not had craft beer, you get them the gateway flight, right? So there's a pale ale, there's a blonde, I forget what else was on there, but this is kind of the stuff to kind of lead them into it. And she's like, okay, that's okay. And I got a flight that was mostly IPAs. She goes, well, what are you drinking? So I told her. She grabs it. She's like, see, this has flavor. This is more what I'm looking for. I'm like, okay, we've got a different learning curve here. Second brewery, take her to Rushing Duck. And it's I think it was their 3rd anniversary. And Rushing Duck, for those of you who are not familiar with Rushing Duck, what they do for their anniversaries, they like to do cuvées. They like to take their big stouts, their barley wines, their old ales, anything big that they've brewed, they like to blend, make a cuvée out of it, and just give you something that's just going to, let's face it, fuck you up.
Well, yeah.
And I think it was the first year they were doing the cuvées because it was Rushing Duck number 1, Rushing Duck number 2, Rushing Duck number 3, and number 4 was my flight. And I had, because of the experience at Twin Elephant, got her a little more of an advanced flight. And she was like, okay, this is good. Well, what are you drinking? That looks dark. Let me try that. She took her first sip of Rushing Duck number 1 and went, this is fantastic. And I realized there's no learning curve here. Just advanced her right up into it. So it was a great beer moment that her palate was like immediately
at that point.
Advanced into stuff that usually takes months, years to get somebody into.
Sure.
So that was very rewarding, very refreshing, and
very nice.
And John will tell you, we travel the same way him and Jess do. I'm going to go here. Where are the breweries? That's the first question. Mm-hmm. Find the breweries, then you find where you're going to stay, because the one closest to, so you can stumble there if you need to.
Sure. Well, it's for us. It's breweries and weird options.
And roadside attractions.
Roadside attractions, right?
World's biggest ball of yarn.
Right, exactly.
That's a Jess thing.
Right.
And I've been places and see, oh my God, this place has the world's largest shovel. And I send it to John, go, you need to get here. Yeah. Jess would love this. But then the other one, like 1B, I guess. And this is Meathead. John knows Meathead. His real name's Jason, but he goes by, I call him Meathead, and he's embraced that name because he looks like a meathead, but he's a lot smarter than most meatheads.
He looks just like Rob Reiner.
No, it doesn't. But he looks like he could put his head down and walk right through a brick wall, mm-hmm. and then just shake it off and just keep going. He's kind of a human bulldog. Right. But I had hired him. He was my coordinator in the company that I work for. And it was his first day. I was supposed to be training him. And if you saw the splash screen to begin with, you saw the Beer Samurai logo. And I had it at my desk because one of the graphic artists in my company had actually designed the logo. And he points to it, he goes, what's that logo? So I told him, he's like, do you know anything about beer? I'm like, well, I kind of know a little. He goes, I'm so tired of these American piss beers. I want to get into something else, and I can't stand these beers. I said, okay, well, so I'm supposed to be training him on his job. And there's a famous, between us, it was a very infamous, whatever, statement that I said to him. I said, I'm going to give you one opportunity to retract that question. And one only, because you have no idea of the world that you're going to step into if I answer this question. And he looked at me and goes, bring it on. 4 hours later, his head is spinning. And he said to me, and this is now leading up to one of my favorite moments ever. He said to me, he's like, I first said to him, I said, I need to know what your palate is. His reply was, I hate hops. I said, no, bullshit, you don't. He goes, no, don't tell me what I like and what I don't like. I hate hops. I'm like, no, at the moment, you hate the way German hops are used in American beers because that's all you've had. I guarantee you, within 3 months, if you come out and drink with me, within 3 months, you'll be sitting at your desk, your salivary glands are going to be going, and you are going to be craving an IPA. And he did follow the typical progression in craft beer. It took him a month where he calls me and goes, you son of a bitch, I need an IPA. And watching him, and there's a lot of other people that I've dragged into, not kicking and screaming, but I've dragged into the craft beer world. Sure. But, bringing Kerry into it, bringing Jason into it, those were very rewarding moments, just watching them progress in two different curves, mind you. But it was still, those are my favorite moments where I can bring someone who's not really into craft beer, introduce it to them, and then watch them embrace it. Sure. And just take off and just own it themselves. Nice. I love those moments.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, Johnny.
All right. I got about 12. No,
I have about 25, but
I'm kidding.
That's why I had to limit it to what I had.
It's really hard.
It's hard to cut it down.
It's really hard to cut it down. But I mean, I could sit here and talk about it for another 3 hours. And
I could have cut it. I could have cut it to moments of just sitting there and just being so zen, kind of like Joe's story. You know what? With his wife Hestefaner Heffa. That's kind of a zen moment,
right? And I kind of looked at it like that, like amazing, like this is actually happening, and zen. Those two things. That's where I kind of went with this. So I cut it down to like. I'll throw a couple of honorable mentions out there.
I avoided the honorable mentions.
I'll throw a couple honorable mentions out there.
Joe
had one. I'll throw a couple honorable mentions.
And I'll mention Leon Cooper real quickly because he's another one. Mm-hmm. Leon commented on he popped up on the show last week.
Sure.
He's known as the senpai. He always would call me sensei. Mm-hmm. Sticking with the Japanese theme of samurai because I taught him a lot, and so he was referred to as senpai for a while. But bringing him into it, there was a lot of reward there as well.
Okay, so
your honorable mentions.
I'll give you a couple of honorable mentions. One of them, like you're talking like a Zen thing, involved two things with you is like your 50th birthday trip that we did. That was a great day. That was, I mean, just everything we did. And then like the last place we were with you, because you took after we went elsewhere afterwards, but was Spite and Dival. And then on that note, when we went to Muggs, Ed's last day at Muggs when he closed down the place, and we were there with Jim, and then we went to Spite and Dival after that.
That was another fantastic day.
Sure, that was phenomenal that day. And then I think the one that just edged out making the top three was the Broad Street 10 miler. Jess and I run the Broad Street 10 miler every year in Philly, and probably about 5 years ago when we finished the 10 miler, walked back up it finishes in the Navy Yard. It's all the way down Broad Street in Philly. If you're not familiar with it, starts in North Philly, goes all the way down to the Navy Yard.
Down to the Navy Yard?
Down all the way down to the Navy Yard.
Jeez.
So 10 miles. Round Center City, around the City Hall, all the way down to Navy Yard, and then we walk back down.
Who's on top of City Hall?
Who's on top of City Hall? Who's on top of City Hall?
Everyone gets this wrong.
Go ahead. What is it? Just say it, because I'm not thinking.
Everyone thinks it's Ben Franklin.
No, it's not Ben Franklin. I know that.
Or George Washington.
No,
it's Chase Utley.
It's who?
Chase Utley.
It should be.
it's just chasing out there throwing rocks at the friggin' thing. But I'm sorry I said that.
It's actually William Penn.
William Penn. Oh yeah. You're right. It's William Penn. Absolutely right. Anyway, so
Most Philadelphians will get that wrong.
Before 5 years ago, we walk out, and we always walk. We do the same thing. We always walk back out after the run was over from the Navy Yard, and we go to the Xfinity Center out by the stadiums, by the Link, by the Wells Fargo Center, by the Phillies ballpark. What the hell? It's escaping me. Whatever the ballpark is.
Where the Phillies play.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. So, they had cans of, they were selling, they had like things outside you didn't have to go in because everybody walked out too, right? And they had cans of Victory Summer Love, right? So I get a can of Victory Summer Love, I'm drinking it, and Jess takes a picture of me, and I'm holding the can, and I'm holding up my medal, and like, my typical face,
mouth
open, right? Yeah. Take the picture, and I put it on Instagram. Within a half an hour, I was the poster boy for Victory. They re-put it on their Instagram, they put it on their Twitter, and they put it on their Facebook. Congratulations to all the runners of the thing. So.
That is so sad for Victory.
So, right. Yeah, thanks. All right. So, anyway, so that just edged it out, but that just missed it. So, here's my top three. Number 3, I'll go in order. Number 3, my first Big Woody event at Spite and Dival.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It was the first Big Woody. Yeah, my first Big Woody.
It's not beer related, is it?
It's not beer related, but it was a day. My first Big Woody event at Spite and Dival that I attended. My first one.
And John's first sexual experience was so scary. He was all alone.
I was, I needed my blankie and everything else. Anyway. My first Big Woody event at Spite and Dival. We were there all day. We got there at noon when they opened up. We were probably there at 9 at night. We had a bunch of people there. It was a great time. I could go into describing the beers we had. I know, there was a couple of Russian Rivers and some other stuff that you don't normally find, obviously, in New York, but it was pretty cool. My number 2 was a visit to the Barrel Room at Sam Adams. Yeah, I actually got I hooked us up with a private tour. We got the extended nickel tour afterwards. We got to sit in the Barrel Room and we had some Utopias. We had a few other things. Other than Utopias, the most amazing thing I had was actually a Scotch ale that they aged for 24 months in Macallan barrels.
That'll do it.
It was amazing. The beer was crazy. So that's my number 2. And my number 1 was my 50th birthday trip that Jess and I took. We hit 50 breweries in 10 days. We went to Cleveland, up to Grand Rapids, stopped at Old Nation on the way up to Grand Rapids.
Heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. Then we went up to through Kalamazoo, Indiana, up to Minneapolis, to Green Bay, down to Milwaukee, Chicago, down to through Indiana to Louisville, back up to Cincinnati, Canton, Pittsburgh, and home. So it was great. It was a great 10 days. It was amazing. So that's definitely my number 1. So there you go. I made them quick.
Yes, you did.
I did. So those are my top 3. So cool. Joe. What's coming up for beer besides the Welsh Red for Descendants?
Actually, brewing kind of go back to the original. We're doing a batch of Best Bitter on Thursday.
Nice.
God forbid you go more. Oh, pardon me, 1 sec.
Mm-hmm. So I'll fill in this place. Right. Okay, there you go.
So sorry.
That's all right. You are running a business.
Yes, okay. Sure is.
God forbid you go more than 3 days without the Best Bitter. You might get a very cranky
clientele.
Guest who is not tech savvy.
Gotcha. I hear you.
Who will storm out of the building, very upset that you don't
want that. You don't want to deal with that.
They've been drinking. So absolutely. I'm actually brewing that next. Going to do our American Pale Ale after that. We call it a darker shade of pale. It's our copper pale ale.
Nice. Little Procol Harum reference.
Yes, thank you.
Nice. There you go.
The joke is 5 people might get that reference, but I'm not going to.
I got it right with him. So I got darker shade of pale.
Yeah, I got 3 people right here that know it.
And every time somebody orders it, you play whiter shade of pale on the.
Yeah, so we do our Procol Harum reference right there for our darker shade of pale, and then after that we do our lawnmower beer. We do a beer called Ote. It's an American blonde, and that is named after my beautiful little 5-year-old who still says Ote instead of okay.
Ote,
and that's
Panky.
Ote.
Panky.
Ote, and it's a real easy drinker. It's something for everybody, kind of beer. And then after that, we're doing a beer called Ada Aontaith, which means Ireland United, part of our Hidden Nation series, and that's our Irish oatmeal stout. I get yelled at because it's in Gaelic. Nobody wants to pronounce it, but that's one of my favorite beers to do every year. We do that on Nitro.
Do you do it for St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, I've learned to release it a little bit earlier because for whatever reason, April 1st, everyone stops drinking stout. It's like a hidden.
I don't.
rule. I don't.
No.
There's any left over, we'll come down and drink it. Don't worry.
I'll drink it in the summer.
I'll drink an Old Rasputin on 100 degree in August.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now,
these same people that get pissed off at you for using Gaelic, do they say sláinte when they get to St. Patrick's Day?
We get a few.
There you go.
Get a few, but
little hypocrisy.
yeah. So we
a little bit.
we've learned to release that one a little bit earlier, so that we're not sitting on a bunch come April. Yeah. So that's the next few that we're doing.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we definitely got to. I got to get back down there. There's a bunch. Obviously, the Wee Heavy itself. I got to have that. So
yeah, we got to do that quasi soon.
We're gonna have to get down there very soon. So. Any events, anything coming up that you want to put out there and let anybody know?
So we when it gets cold, we actually do a lot of really funky events. Like we just did our Robert Burns Scottish celebration on Sunday. We're taking daggers and stabbing haggis, and we
taking daggers and stabbing haggis.
Yeah,
stagging habits.
Taking dabbers and stagging habits.
That sounds like a band, Stabbing Haggis.
Stabbing haggis.
That would be a great.
This is talking.
I need more.
We'll do a haggis beer, and we'll call it Stabbing Haggis.
Did you just do a whip it?
No. Straight whipped cream.
You just straight whipped cream.
Let's see. So in February we celebrate Welsh heritage. So on the 5th we're doing a kind of a pagan Christian kind of Welsh celebration that we have fun with. We release the Eggs of the Dragon.
Bringing some druids in.
We skipped the druids, but we got some good food.
Nice.
Let's see.
You just play Rhiannon on loop.
That's it.
On loop.
Over on and on. Yeah.
The story
We're
of
actually
Welsh
doing.
witch.
We're bringing in a whiskey from Penderyn, the Icons of Wales series. We're doing their number 7, which is called Rhiannon. We're super stoked to release that.
There you go.
That's
awesome.
March 3rd, we're doing our rare Irish whiskey pairing dinner, which is some really good stuff.
What are these rare Irish whiskeys you're bringing in?
The feature that night is from a distillery called Dublin Liberties. It's their 13-year aged. It's called Murder Lane. We're super stoked to
love that name.
It's great.
13 years, 13 years in bourbon, ex-bourbon barrels, and it's finished in Hungarian dessert wine barrels.
Oh wow,
Hungarian dessert wine.
That's great.
Yes, we have a few neighbors who are Hungarian, and they told me it's pronounced Tokai.
Tokai.
So that's the feature. We're also doing the PX I Love You from the Whistler. From Clonakilty, we are doing their double oak. From Two Stacks, we're doing their cask strength, which you'd never see cask strength Irish whiskey.
No,
not
seriously.
at all. Wow.
Dingle number 3, and we're
Wasn't
doing
that a song back in the 90s?
What's that?
Oh, it's the Mambo number 5. Never mind. Sorry.
No.
We're doing Dingle number 3, and then we're doing the West Cork single malt finished in rum casks. So we got some We got some decent little whiskeys that we're
Awesome.
Had some rare Irish whiskey.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get down. You know, we're
March
gonna have to get
3rd?
down. We're gonna have to get down there like 11 o'clock in the morning before you open. This way we can sober up by the time we have to travel.
Yeah. March 3rd, you said, huh?
That's March 3rd. And for anyone watching who has kids, we're doing our first ever Dr. Seuss night on March 2nd for his birthday.
Very nice.
And we'll have some green eggs and ham and whatnot.
Awesome.
You can have
Kinda
one
have fun
fish,
with that.
2 fish.
Yes, we will have 1 fish, 2 fish Jello.
Right. One fish too.
You got to put like goldfish in the Jello.
Yeah, you do blue Jello with some Swedish
Red
fish.
snapper and blues.
Yeah.
So we like most breweries, we try to be as family friendly as we can be.
God,
That's
all
awesome.
the places we need to go, John.
I'm telling you, it's gotta happen. It's gotta happen.
So we because we can, we keep the events rolling throughout the year.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome. Well,
And you don't need a permit for the events, do you?
No.
And
You
we
can do
don't.
whatever you want because you have a liquor license. Isn't that special?
That's special. Sometimes it's good to be a brew pub.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. Well, this has been great, Joe. Seriously, this has literally been one of the best shows we've had. Certainly one of our longest shows. And
it's approaching the longest.
it's approaching the longest. In fact, if we talk for another 14 minutes, it'll be the longest show. But,
and it takes John.
I probably have to put the kids to sleep. So.
there you go. Well, it takes me that long to give the good intro.
It takes John 3 minutes to do the outro.
Yeah, so no, it'll only take me a minute. So
It's
sit
all
tight.
It's all the legal copy.
It's all the legal. Yeah, the disclaimers at the end, right?
Legal.
So sit tight. Don't sign off. We're gonna sign off. We'll talk to you for a couple minutes before we, after we sign off the show. But
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome. Seriously.
No, because now Jameson seems like so nothing compared to what you just mentioned.
After what he was just talking about, you can't even drink Jameson anymore.
I can't even look at it.
You can't even look at it
I'm
now.
turning the bottle around.
Put it away. Yeah, exactly. See that? All right. On that note, we'll wrap the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 Eastern Time. Right. And for those of you that just want to listen to, you want to say the ish? Go ahead, say the ish.
No, I just said,
there you go.
And for those of you reaffirming what you said.
There you go. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn.
For those who don't
Stitcher.
Want to see our faces.
Right. If you don't want to see our faces.
We understand that.
Exactly. You can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing at Descendants and the old ship.
The oldest craft brewery.
At the oldest craft brewery in New Jersey. And I'll go to bat with you in Union County. I mean, for whoever doesn't think that's true. I don't
know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you mean. But thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks for everything you've done in the past. And have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
God bless.